Hello everyone, and welcome to another amazing story. What if Gazaf Strawnoff was sent to DanMachi? This amazing story was written by Oblivion2991. Please support them. Don't forget to like, sub, and leave a comment. Now let's dive in. Chapter 6, A Quartet of Goddesses and the Warrior, Part 1. Flabbergasted, shocked, filled with the dread of recognition, the petite goddess was like a fish, opening and closing her mouth seeing this person before her. That's... At first, seeing him, she was not sure. But now, seeing him in all his manly glory, she was sure. It is him. How it is possible Bel-kun encountered him. Considering the size of the city, considering Bel most of the day dwelled the dungeon, challenging both himself and that horrible place. The chance the two actually meeting, and Bel inviting this man was absurdly low, in so much, even without her godly power. Her arcana to help her calculate the possibility. The young goddess knew the exact chance. It is actually 0. By the way, Bel-kun, is she a member of your familia? Where is that goddess you spoke about? I would like to thank her for her hospitality. But she is. Bel's and the stranger's words dissolved in the background for long moments. Hestia's brain started to rack and grind ever intensely, trying to puzzle together how such thing can happen, completely ignoring the man's mistake for a moment. True, in this metal armor, which was even according to her was low quality, it was challenging to recognize him at first. Yet, because the man lacked the head protection, she could explicitly say, this was the same man she met and woke up from his slumber with her heavenly fist of judgment. Yes, it cannot be denied. His appearance was unique. Even in the city filled with all kind of people, coming from all around the world, she recognized his face. Not his black eyes which stared in her soul, not his hair, not his well-tanned skin, not even his face that was unique. Separately, they looked quite everyday, but the mix of all of this that made this man look exceptional and at the same time handsome. Not speaking the feeling I received from him. Yes, it cannot be denied. Lowly with big boobs shuddered, feeling the same strange, uneasy feeling from the man she felt back then. It was not fear or anything alike, but the feeling this man doesn't belong here, like a person who came very, very far away, originated from elsewhere than this world of children. Is something wrong? Gazaf asked, somewhat confused why Hestia is staring him so long, starting to feel uneasy. You are that guy. Suddenly, she pointed at Zeph, managing to puzzle everything together. And Bel can only back, frightened by the reaction of his goddess. If he didn't know her better, he might think she is angry at this man. Guy. Gazaf blinked, confused by the girl's reaction and the name she came up to him. The one I met yesterday. The same one who collapsed before my stand. Hestia bit her finger, looking somewhat frustrated, almost pulling the long raven locks hung on the side of her head. That. Gazaf hit his palm. Now he clearly remembered her. True, he only saw her face for a short period of time. Still, he can hardly forget her face and beauty. He was sure every normal man would be the same. Thank you once more taking care of me. Suddenly one moment to other, he bowed once more, making Hestia and Bel back surprised. Thank you for taking care of me. His words honest. Hestia felt not an inch of sarcasm or second thought behind them. He collapsed. He was the one goddess. What he is speaking about. Bel looked at between the two, remembering the accident Hestia spoke about after she refreshed his status. The horrible method she used to wake up the man. Well, Hestia's eyes slowly slid on the side, like she would want to avoid speaking about the topic. She was not amused at all. He might be the one. Even her tone was flat as she muttered. Oh, Bel just blinked, measuring Gazaf once more with all the curiosity he could muster. Even hearing this from his deity, the boy was hardly able to imagine a man like him collapses just like that. But remembering how he acted, protecting the innocent with his last strength, fighting off a terrible monster, he could accept that picture, collapsing before a food stand, crushed by his inability to choose a dressing. Absurd. I couldn't even follow his movement most of the time. There is no way he collapsed just like that. Something happened that exhausted him. Indeed, the battle between Bet and Zeph was fierce, even legendary for the boy's inexperienced eyes. Bel could only glimpse as the two stopped from time to time, glaring at each other, before blurring again, leaving craters each time they clashed. Being this happened after he escaped from the dungeon. Chased out by the terrible Minotaur, it is most likely he came from the lower floors, exhausted from the long journey, and the terrible creatures resides there. That means realization dawned on his mind. Yes, Bell started to realize. Maybe it was because of him. The man collapsed, using the last remains of his strength to save him from the dread. Coming back from his momentary contemplation and realization, the boy saw the man and the goddess still staring each other. Only a few seconds passed, but it all started to turn awkward. Yeah, let's go inside, so we can talk more comfortably. For long moments, Hestia said nothing, only glaring at him, making Gazaf feel uncomfortable. Only if the lady allows it, of course. He added in the end, sweating, making the goddess shrug, huffing away one of her raven tail from her face. Whatever, tea this way. And thus, Bell led the duo, taking the lead, smiling weirdly, only hoping he can diffuse the situation, whatever other matter happened between the two. And thus, the boy led the two deeper inside the secret room, offering Gazaf a seat, and just now, Hestia and the mysterious man sat on each other's side in the only couch of the room. For most, the atmosphere may seem uncomfortably silent and awkward. How cozy. Looking around, the walls cracked in several places, the plaster missing in patches, revealing the bricks underneath. The furniture was old and worn, patched several times already. Only several magic stone-fueled lamps provided the necessary light in the small room. It was evident this place earned a renovation a long time ago, yet, somehow, it gave the feeling of a proper home. For Gazaf, it meant much. Back then, he adored even his small cantonment near the barracks. It was not much, but it was his home. If it were luxurious, it wouldn't feel like home at all. He despised unnecessary pageantry, after all. Glancing at his side, the small girl was still silent, squirming uneasily. Her legs squeezed together, hands strictly placed on her thigh, her face lowered, her short bangs even shadowing her eyes. Thank you once more for your generosity. It means much to me. It's nothing. The girl shuddered. It was evident. Out of some reason, she was nervous. Though Gazaf was still unable to figure out why, but somehow, he felt the girl was worried. As a man who led people before, as the warrior captain of the kingdom and a mercenary, one can pick up a few skills. Necessary skills to lead the people and filter out problems inside the group. One cannot hope to win a war alone, after all. To win, one must needs companions they can trust and rely on in battle. Wars fought in groups, after all. Units. Each unit has its own leader. One. Not two, or three, but one. With various section leaders inside the group under the said leader. The task of this leader to find the rotten apples, or the faults, recognize the problem inside of the unit, then solve them before it can affect the whole unit. If they fail, the group will work faulty, with lesser efficiency. And when that happens, then the existence of the entire unit is at stake. One flawed member can cause the death of everyone around. In war, it was critical to keep this in mind. Still, I digress, thanking you in both cases. Both. Hestia, the first time they sat down, turned to Gazaf, blinking. Yes. First, in the street when you give me food. Then now, as you allowed me to stay here. As said, it is nothing. It is the least I help someone in need. Yet. Gazaf raised his brow questioning, curious what the goddess meant with that word. What do you want? I hope you are not planning anything against my Belkuin. Or else. With a resolute gaze, Hestia glared at Gazaf. She was cute in a way, almost like a mascot. Excuse me, and Gazaf watched her confused, completely stunned about what the short woman wants. Belkuin is very naive, as you may recognize. Yes, I recognized. Honestly, it was not that hard to recognize. The boy basically invited him willingly, a complete stranger man he only saw once in his life, only passing in that chasm. If this not hinted naivety and the excessive trust in people, then nothing. If you try anything with my child, her brow narrowed strict, looking quite menacing. I will never forgive you. Bear my word. Do not irk the wrath of the goddess, or my heavenly fist of judgment strikes you down. Once again, she added in the end. For a long moment, the former warrior captain just blinked, staring her surprised, and her glare never faltered for a moment. Even against a towering man like he was, she backed not a moment. Ha ha ha! And in the next moment, Gazaf laughed at his heart content. He can't help it. But being the girl still referred herself as a goddess, and the fact, being so small she even tried to intimidate him, filled him with some solemn amusement. "What's so funny?" the goddess shouted. Pouting, she looked extra cute. "Ah, please forgive me." The man wiped away a small tear of joy, snickering one last time. "It is just your reaction. I expected different." "Different?" She blinked, finding the man strange. "I meant your reaction. I expected different. You must really love Belcoin." "Well," she started to blush intensively, turning her head away, somewhat angry. "Of course. He is my child. Of course I love him. I see." Though, Gazaf still found it strange the girl called the boy as her child. He said nothing. Asking her age would be inappropriate. He learned it firsthand when he was younger and inexperienced, earning a hard slap from a female. "That's good," he hummed with closed eyes, feeling the sudden phantom pain remembering the case. "You jerk." Slap. "You cannot ask a lady her age." He had no idea why the female mercenary acted like that back then, but now, being more experienced, he knows precisely why. Females were always sensitive about their age. Better not ask them. "So, you are the one who saved Belkin?" Playing with her fingers, the goddess looked down, being quite embarrassed about her reaction and her sudden revelation. "Ah, that. Yes, you may call it like that. But it was only natural, helping who needs it." Hearing this, Hestia just sighed. Great, he found a second bell. She can only hope this man was not as naive as her beloved child. "Thank you. You welcome." Gazaf smiled, and in the next moment, the boy with white hair and strange red eyes appeared behind the door, carrying several cups of steaming tea, and the potato croquettes remained from last night. "Ah, Zef-san, I see you already found the common voice with the goddess." Placing down the tray, Belle beamed, looking very happy about it. "We just started to converse." And thus, he didn't even mention up the goddess part. If she wanted to be called like that, he would play along. It is not like if he gets hurt if he does so and pretends a little bit. "I definitely don't want to look ungrateful." In his eyes, the girl still looked like a child, and very few can win a debate against a headstrong teen of her age. "So, your name is Zef?" asked Hestia in the next moment, grabbing a nature jagamarukin, hinting it with some salt. "It seems so." Gazaf smiled, earning a quiet snort from Hestia. The man not even suspected, but he dodged a bullet not introducing personally. Else, the goddess most likely right away recognized the fake name. "And you are?" "I am Hestia, Goddess Hestia." "You can call me Lady Hestia if you wish." She puffed her chest proud, looking quite huffish. Seeing this, Belle could only sweat drop, a little bit ashamed how Hestia acted. "Ah, goddess." "Then, Goddess Hestia," he played along. "Please forgive me not introducing before." Gazaf can't help it, but still, find it amusing this small girl calls herself a goddess. Maybe for appearance, she was one, as most men would imagine a goddess like her judging her appearance. Yet, for him, she was not very godlike. "It is no problem." She stuffed down the last bite, drinking some tea. "Ah, Belcoin, your tea is the best." "It is nothing, goddess. It is just a simple tea. With some added sugar, of course." Sugar was not an expensive flavoring, but thanks to their miserable monetary state, they can hardly allow buying even that much. Hestia nodded, sighing. "So, Zefcoin, where did you meet Belle?" "Well, first down in that catacomb. He was the one who saved me." Belle was the one who first spoke, describing the situation. "It was nothing, really." "I see." Hestia hummed. Once she already thanked this man his help, but it was only appropriate to do so again. "Once more, I thank you for saving my Belle. As said, it is only natural." And Gazaf smiled once more, nodding humbly. TCH. Of course, this earned a small, unrecognizable snort from the lady's part. That damn smile. Hestia was unable to find anything that may give a reason to hate this man, or anything that may force him to reveal his real intentions. It was honestly annoying. I know something is not right with him. I just feel it. Yet, I can't make him show his real face. Just what are you up to, if I may ask? Yes. So, are you really a goddess? Gazaf asked. He can't help it, but he wanted to know how the girl will react. Even a serious man like him can have his own little fun. No, of course I am. Don't you see? Hestia was honestly offended by this accusation. How a mortal can't recognize a divine being like herself. Their powerful aura betrayed their presence. It was honestly scandalous him not recognizing her right away. Please forgive me saying this, but you don't look like one. Hestia right away spat her tea, looking at the man with disbelief. Yach, and Belle can only gape, hearing the man saying such a thing. Zef-san, only muttering, watching the man with trembling eyes. You really? He can only gulp nervously. What did you said? I am a goddess. She stood up completely appalled. There is no way a mortal can't recognize a goddess. As said, you don't look like one. And Gazaf confirmed what he said, looking more convinced with his opinion than ever before, still offering a small smile. Definitely, in his eyes, a god would react otherwise. And what do you think, how a god looks like? Let's see. Caressing his chin, he recalled the legend and tales of his people. They are beings of great power, able to scorch whole countries and split oceans under mere moments. Some of them even reaching the size of the mountain, skin impenetrable. And thus, Gazaf listed a few things he heard about the 6 great gods, the Greed kings, and several other deities across their history and legends, making both Hestia and Belle just blink for long moments. You didn't have to ask. This earned not the intended effect. Fwahaha. That's good. And Hestia can't help but wipe a tear, finding all this description strangely fitting, but at the same time, amusingly inaccurate considering their current state. Belle was still flustered, imagining the gods like that. Meeting a few of them since coming to the city, he can hardly imagine them anything else than humanoid beings, only differing by their godly power from humans and everyone else down there. You really imagine us like that? Well, Gazaf scratched his face, smiling bitterly. Something like that. The one I meet previous gave that impression. And indeed, the thing Ains accomplished may fit the category Gazaf just described. Even if the terrible overlord was not a god, his power mirrored the description he gave. So it is that. Still a little bit chuckling. Now, the goddess found this child amusing. It is true. Up above, many of us look different. There is even a few who looks like you described. Really? Belle was flabbergasted, hearing this the first time. Until now, he thought the gods always look like their earthly self, not the way Gazaf described them. A world collapsed in him. Yes, Belkuin. I didn't mention it. Belle just shook his head, looking his goddess completely disturbed, and the said being could only blink clueless. Well, Hestia placed her finger on her lips, completely innocent, looking up, quite contemplating. Most of us looks different up there, only taking our current, humanoid form to fit better in this world. Then, that means, Belle can't help it, but can't imagine Hestia as a different person. No, the goddess denied immediately. I still look the same. Thank Kemi-sama. And the boy just sighed relieved. He doesn't want to imagine her differently. Although, it is strange that person spoke about this. We usually not bother to mention it. Under that person, Hestia referred to Gazaf's so-called god/goddess. Albeit, she thought it was that person Gazaf mentioned. In truth, it was a different story. Albeit, the gods had the strange ability to tell apart lies from the truth. Gazaf until now didn't really tell a single lie. And unfortunately, the effectiveness of this ability also depended on the context and what the target believed is truth. In the current case, Gazaf still though aims as some kind of terrible magic caster, comparable to a deity. Thus, he fit the category. And being Hestia considered the mentioned person as Gazaf's possible deity, the misunderstanding of the two cannot be broader. Something like that. The man scratched his face sheepish. He hated misdirecting people, but intending to keep his low profile, he needed to sacrifice this much from his dignity. It seems so. Oh, I see. Hestia nodded, understanding his confusion. Even her, as a goddess, she don't know everything about this world and the children who are inhabiting it. And as such, she can't expect an unreasonable thing from this child. May I ask who that individual is? Who? Of course your god. Well, remembering Misha's warning, it would be the best not saying anything. Yet, now he was questioned, he needed to come up with something. He would like to remain anonymous. Anonymous? I see. Just now Hestia squinted her eyes. Her senses are pinging, yet can't decide this was the truth or lie. It must be a half-truth. He is covering something. There were many gods down there already, each differing from each other. There may be one who would like to remain unknown before others. She can't tell. Well, if you don't want to tell, then don't. Humph! Suddenly, she turned her head away, looking quite huffish. Gazaf, of course, understands not her reaction, as she said nothing which would refer to such behavior. Go, goddess. Bel just sweat dropped, seeing the questionable behavior of his deity. Did I said something wrong? And poor Gazaf could only watch her uneasy, seeing this reaction. It is nothing. By the way, Mr. Zeph was amazing back then. Back then, for this, Zeph raised his brow, suddenly unable to recall what the boy's referring to. This sentence, of course, raised the attention even the goddess, turning back her head inquired. You know, when you saved me from the Minotaur, and when you defeated that Loki Familia member this night, you were amazing, Mr. Zeph. Like a hero from the stories. The crimson eyes of Bel shone once more, looking at Gazaf like some otherworldly hero, like a paragon. It was nothing much. I just protected myself, and Gazaf could only starch his face embarrassed. He never considered this accomplishment as anything impressive. Loki Familia member. Hestia almost screamed, watching her only Familia member strict. She expected an answer from Bel. Belcoin, what happened? I thought you went to have dinner and not brawling. Yes. And the boy could only look away embarrassed, playing with his indexes. In the Hostess of Fertility, there was a little accident, and she immediately switched into protective mode, searching any injury on the boy left and right, almost like she teleported, inspecting him from tip to toe. Are you all right? Injured? Hurt? Damn that Loki. If I meet her once again, she shook her small fist, looking quite menacing. Whoever that Loki was, she must receive chills at this moment. No, nothing happened. Nothing. I am fine. Belcoin. What happened? Now Bel looked away, seriously ashamed, but before he could answer, Gazaf took the word from his mouth. It was my fault. What? It was basically my fault. I should be more considerate with my words. I should have solved the problem in a more careful way. Please forgive me. And thus, he bowed his head, taking the blame. But Mr. Zeph, you only protected yourself. What? What happened? Now, the little goddess looked extra pissed. Not only Bel almost died in that chasm a few days ago, but now, also went against the members of Loki Familia. This child was nothing but trouble. Well, Bel gulped deep. As said, it was only my fault. I should have handled the situation better. What have you done? That glare made even Gazaf back for a moment, feeling a strange kind of rising divinity around the small woman. Even he, the famous warrior captain of the kingdom, felt afraid for a moment. Kchem. But in the end, he managed to collect himself and answer. A lively group entered the establishment where young Bel and I consumed our meals. It was a rowdy bunch. As it came to light from their conversation, they celebrated something. And thus, he explained, using the best to give a uniformized report, like he always did under his years of a soldier. Their return from the 59th floor. Bel added in the end. Even him, as the lowest ranked from the adventurers, heard about the accomplishment. Basically, everyone knows about the achievement of the Loki Familia in the town. Grinding. Suddenly, a grinding sound came from Hestia, making Bel afraid as she ground her teeth and offered her unamused expression. Even one of her eyes started to tick. Well, as said, finishing my meal, I was on to leave the establishment, with the clear goal to find a place to sleep for that night. Gazaf continued, trying to filter out the woman grinding noises, and the killer gaze the two received. Unfortunately, when I was on to leave, one of them recognized me, instigating me to participate in their disorderly behavior. Disorderly behavior? Hestia raised her brow, and right away, Bel looked away. Indeed, it was because of him Zeph forced to protect himself. One of them instigated me to participate in a mocking game, instigating to shame a person who was clearly not the fault. Of course, I refused, pointing out it was basically their fault. The instigator didn't like my refusal, of course. Zeph-san, Bel muttered, remembering all too clear. I tried to leave, of course, disregarding his threat, just to be assaulted from behind. And after that, the rest is history. Gazaf shrugged, still remembering their fight. History. Zeph-san fought with the Loki Familia member. Bel muttered, his hand curling in a fist on his lap, filled with anger, remembering his shame and helplessness. Which one? It was not an accidental question. Loki's was a huge familia, with members scaling from the lowest level 1 to the highest level 6 members. As I recall, he called himself Bet Loga. After a momentary consideration, Gazaf answered. Ah, poor boy. And Hestia sighed, shaking her head, regretting right away she reprimed them so hard. She heard about those children from Hephaestus, and of course, from Loki. That flat desk never ceased to boast with her children's accomplishments, and how many members she has compared to her. Rambling long how Bet can outrun everyone and able to keep up even with the strongest. Don't worry about it. Losing against one of the highest is no shame. She patted Zeph's shoulder, smiling sympathetically. I thank you for standing up with that adventurer and protecting Bel, even if you lost. Goddess. What? Belcoin. I try to cheer Zeph-san up. Don't interrupt me. But Goddess. Bel gulped for a moment. He won. Suddenly, Hestia's face started to glitch. Her neck tilted suddenly, giving away a crack-like sound, her closed eyes continuously twitching. Belcoin, I didn't hear you right. Come again. You said he won. But that cannot be, yes? He won, Goddess. In fact, Bel pushed his fingers together shy. Bet was unable to stand up for a while after he defeated him. You give me too much credit, Belcoin. It was not that impressive. Just a little warm-up. A warm-up? Her eyes still twitching, hearing this from the man. How can you say something like that? Mr. Zeph. He was one of the strongest of the whole city. And you won. Please, don't be so modest. You earned the recognition. Really? Gazaf just watched Bel, who nodded obliging, and was somehow surprised hearing this the first time. That guy was not that impressive combat skill-wise, and his speed also left things desired. It is like he didn't even know martial arts. I didn't saw him activate one. Maybe it was out of pride Bet refused to use any martial art. Perhaps he didn't know one. Gazaf had no idea. Still, in defeat, people usually throw away their pride and use techniques to win their fights. And as a high-level individual, Bet should already know a few techniques. No matter how one refuses to learn them, people always pick up at least a few under their training. This place is weird. Like I am in a completely different world. Gazaf slowly started to suspect. He is very far away from his home. Yes, it was strange for even Bel that Zeph not heard about Bet. Like his fellow familia members, Bet as well was known in many countries around the globe, known as a fierce fighter. Even he, as a simple farm boy, Bel heard about him. Well, his strength and speed might be impressive, but he lacks control and experience. He definitely not used to fight against humanoid opponents. What did you just said? Hestia asked, still freaked out, and not yet fully recognized what Zeph said. That he lacked coordination, finesse, and technique. He was easy to imbalance and lacked the cold head needed for battle. He just attacked, using brute force. No finesse or planning. Against a simple monster, this might work. Against an opponent who able higher thinking and planning, not so much. I need a drink. Hestia now really started to sulk. Hearing all of this was overwhelming. Falling on the couch tired, almost like melting, slid down to the ground. There, Goddess. I was almost the same when I first saw him. Bel tried to console her, but it helped not. Hestia was still a little bit dazed. Wait a minute. In the next moment, she regained her bearing, jumping up. So you say, you defeated Bet Loga. That Bet Loga? It seems so. In open combat. Well, you should have seen it, Goddess. I couldn't see anything. Mr. Zeph and his opponent just blurred continuously, leaving craters on the street. And in the next moment, boom. With just one strike, he sent him flying, collapsing a wall on him. Poor guy can't even get up for long. Bel snickered. He can't hold it anymore. It was shameful, but he enjoyed seeing his bully beaten like that. It was just satisfying. You really overestimate me, Belcoin. It was nothing impressive, but the result of planning and coordination. Anyone with little effort, training, and thinking can do it. Again, so humble. Bel just muttered, not even daring to say it out loud. So you say? Hestia's mouth twitched, curling into a grin. Fwahaha. I can't believe it. Her face must be. Uffed. Ha ha ha. For a moment, Gazaf and Bel just stared at each other, unable to understand what made the goddess laugh so hard. She literally rolled on the ground, grabbing her flat stomach. Say, what kind of face did she make when her precious trophy defeated? Is she cried? Wailed in agony, biting her lower lip. With a grin, she wanted to hear it all, hear about how her nemesis reacted. Well, Gazaf started to feel uneasy. This woman most likely really hated that she reacting this way. Whoever that person was. He felt uneasy, even thinking about what kind of enmity stood between the sides. I had no idea. I don't know how she looks. Red hair, fox-like face, no boobs, no ass. Looks like a desk, still nothing. Gazaf pondered for a moment, caressing his stubbled chin. I might saw something alike, but maybe it was another person. Believe me, you will recognize her once you see her. She cannot be mixed with anyone. Still smiling smug, Hestia could barely hold her laugh. Her face basically trembled. She almost called her arcana to get control of herself. Oh, by the way, Mr. Zeph, where did you came from? Bell suddenly took the word from his goddess's mouth, wanting to divert the topic from this embarrassing accident. Well, of course, from far away. He chuckled, making both Hestia and Bell look flat. More precisely, well, the problem, I don't know where is there, and how far my home is. Oh, how this is possible. Bell gasped in horror. Now this, even Hestia was curious. One can't lose their home, can they? Then how this Zeph does not know where it is? Yeah, how that's possible? She asked flat, with a little bit disbelief. Honestly, one day I headed to my destination, fighting a terrible monster. Then the next I know, I woke up. I am in a completely different place. My gear mostly stolen, surrounded by a bunch of monsters. That's horrible. What kind of monster capable of defeating Mr. Zeph? It must be horribly strong. Yeah, you can say that he was inhuman. Gazaf only chuckled bitterly on the irony of this sentence, remembering the power difference between him and Ains. Bell, of course, reacted this way, trying to suffocate his tears, but no Hestia. Her expression just turned stern, hiding her mouth behind her folded fingers. Is that so? She really looked like a typical cliché movie villain now. Yes, very much so. Hestia felt no lie from the man, as in truth, he only said the truth, little bit twisted, but still the truth. Did you know who was it? Who? The people who stole your gear? Asked Bell a little bit worried. Unfortunately, no. When I woke up, almost all my gear already gone, only surrounded by monsters. After defeating them, I decided to ask around, coming in contact with several people. This led me to this city as the most likely place where I can find some help to recover my stolen belongings and find my way home. Then, in the dungeon? Bell asked in disbelief, still unable to figure out what Gazaf did in the dungeon that time. I heard it offers some challenge, so I wanted to try myself out. Ha ha ha. His little joke made both Bell and Hestia fell out from their seats, looking sweat-dropped and uneasy. Zeph-san, the dungeon is dangerous. You can't just... So this is why you collapsed before my stand. Are you stupid, or what? Hestia pointed it out slightly angry. Not only this man collapsed before her shop, he even did so out of his own irresponsibility. True, I didn't eat properly for a few days when I reached that point. Gazaf fondled his stubble, thinking, maybe because of that. I was so overwhelmed I lost my sense and collapsed. Really, either way, thank you for your hospitality, my lady, he bowed once more. TCH, it is nothing. It is only natural we help out who's in need. It was sour saying it out loud, but seeing Bell's hopeful expression made all worth. On the second note, this was also a chance to sleep together with Bell. If this stranger sleeps here, she can tell Bell to sleep in one bed with her, so their guest can take the couch. My plan is perfect. Her devious grin was entirely visible, making even Bell afraid for a moment. Go goddess. As I said, it is no bother. We can share a bed with Belcoin. You can have the couch. Thank you, but I wouldn't want to intrude more than necessary. I will be fine on the ground. Damn you. Just accept it. She forced a smile, grinding her mental teeth loud. But Zeph-san, you cannot possibly. It is fine. It is really no bother. Okay then. Bell looked away shuddering. He cannot possibly want to force his savior to do things he wants not. Damn it. And Hestia can only swear, losing this perfect chance to sleep with her children. Unfortunately, if she insists any more, it will be suspicious for both men before her. Well then, It is decided. One more question remained. You said you lost your way, and most likely not find your way back for a while. Well, something like that, what of it? Hestia stood up, taking a big breath. She cannot possibly lose this chance. Even if this was a risky gamble, she can't let anyone stole this man, who potentially was a level 5 or level 6. She felt she would gain a new family member this night. He said he came to the city recently. Then he is not aware all that bureaucratic play going on there between the different gods. It is better if I pull him into my familia early, than worry about the rest later. Right. He was not entirely honest with me, but who don't have a few secrets? Even gods have them. In time, he will share. Kachem, would you like to join my familia? She offered her hand, offering her brightest, friendliest smile she can muster. What? And the man could only raise his brow, slightly confused by the offer. Look, I understand you have a god who already gives their blessing to you. Or so, she assumed Gazaf has a god. But it might take some time you found what you were looking for and find your way back. Until then, let me take care of you, offer a place to stay. In return, saving Belkuin. Her smile angelic. Now she really looked like a true goddess, even mesmerizing Gazaf's heart for a moment. Just to in the next moment, right away, his mental defenses click in place, resisting the urge. Making himself remember, he is not here to join anyone, but to recover what he lost and return to the kingdom. I am sorry I can't do it. Well, what? It came so sudden. He refused her right away. The man took not even a moment to consider her offer. It made Hestia's neck crack as she suddenly tilted her head. Come again. I am sorry, my lady, but I am not here to join anyone. After I recovered my equipment, I will head home. Sorry, it must be this way. Boo, but still, without your fauna updated, you can't hope. She tried to reason with the thing which was the most important to all adventurers. Updating their fauna. Unfortunately for her, Gazaf had no fauna. I will solve it. Don't worry about me, my lady. As always, I will manage. Are you sure? Her mouth trembled, trying to use her puppy eye technique. It made the man's face tremble for a moment before Belle's voice made his attention turn. Mr. Zeph, Belle looked slightly afraid. If you don't update your fauna, every once in a while you will have no chance against higher-level opponents. You can't proceed deeper in the dungeon. Please consider goddess offer. Please. And Gazaf can only smile gently, seeing the boy almost tearful eyes. Belle was too good for this world. Poor lad didn't even know. Gazaf didn't have fauna from the beginning. Everything he is thanks to his training, and the people helped him under his journey. I am sure, Belcoin. But thank you for your offer. Still, if you change your mind. Hestia said it quiet, hoping the man will change his mind. I will let you know, my lady. Bowing his head, Hestia shrugged, slightly disappointed about his decision. Damn it, she can only bite her lip, angry and somewhat frustrated. Unfortunately, she knew well enough. She can't do anything about this now. And even when her arcana intact and unsealed, she was never a goddess who abused it without reason, less controlling people's decision and free will, or forcing them into her familia. Sorry, if you wish, I can leave. Gazaf was slightly regretful not playing the game of the little girl. But even if for playing, it would mean he leaves the people of the kingdom behind. And even if for playing, he wouldn't do that. Not ever. No, it is nothing. Hestia defended, waving her hands apologizing. I wouldn't send you away because of your decision. It is just. She sighed sadly. It will be hard for you to stay afloat without a deity who update your fauna. Please consider it. You don't need to leave your own god for me. This can be a temporary change. As I heard, many do it if they travel far from their home. At least, she heard so from her friend. In truth, she knows not if it's true or not, but she trusted enough Hephaestus to trust her tales and doubt her not. If she manages to convince this man now, maybe a permanent conversion, as the change from one familia to other called, become possible in the future. With that, she would gain a strong member, a person who can genuinely help Belle becoming stronger and keep him safe. I will manage it. Thank you. He refused the offer right away, making Hestia deflate under a moment. Rewrite. Still, if you or young Belle need some help, just say, and I will do what I can. I appreciate it. And thus, the pact was made between the sides, chatting a few more minutes about the town, how people live there, about Belle and Hestia, and how they found each other. After this, the sides slowly prepared to sleep, Gazaf removing his armor, seating on the ground, inspecting his bracers. Those fell apart in the meantime. Misha will be not amused. Ignoring this, he decided he will take care of it tomorrow. Hugging his wrapped sword close, the man closed his eyes, and since a few days, drifted in dreamland. Now, truly. Maybe he was unaware, but for a long time, Hestia watched him from her bed, staring not just him, but his sword. What a strange guy, she muttered in the end, deciding to sleep. Scene change. In the next morning. The morning came faster than expected, and from early morning a lone figure can be seen before the dilapidated temple, doing strange exercises, almost like training. Huff, huff, huff. Gazaf, like usual, got up when the sun started to rise. His inner clock was precise, leaving the temple for some fresh air, and to finish his usual training routine he did every morning since he became a soldier. Ha! With each stroke, his sword cut the air, vibrating the wind around him. Several shock waves released, shaking the leaves of the nearby bushes and trees. The temple was well hidden in an abandoned area. Not many know this place, less walked around here. Second, to the walls. This was a perfect spot to train if you don't want to get disturbed. 100 more. Gazaf slightly sweated. He had done this for hours, starting his exercise with stretching, then running around on the walls, making his way back here, then doing sword swings and similar exercises, just like he did so every day in his life. Amazing, he heard awe-inspired gasp behind his back, turning around. Ah, young Bell, you are awake this early. I used to head in the dungeon this time around. But you, Mr. Zeph, what are you doing this early? My training. I used to do it each day, a few hours of training each morning, then 1 hour before going to sleep. Unfortunately, in recent days, I missed a few times. I am on to catch up with them once more. Unfortunately, this was the sad truth. He cannot do it since he arrived, and he already missed it greatly. His day was not the same without a little bit of training. A few hours. Bell looked terrified, even raising his arm horrified. True, he dwells the dungeon for a long time almost every day, virtually from morning to late afternoon, but he usually always make a break every 1 or 2 hours to eat and rest. To actually someone train from several hours in the morning, then go to adventure? It was absurd. According to Ina, one should not exhaust themselves with additional training before descending in the dungeon, or they will be too exhausted to get back. Yes. Gazaf hummed. I assume you are heading down there now. Yes. You also, Mr. Zeph? I have a few things to take care of first. But later, maybe. I see. Bell looked away somewhat red, thinking he should as well consider training in the morning. Maybe then he wouldn't be so weak if he did so from the beginning. Your friend? Friend. That small girl. Gazaf pointed it out, and Bell right away recognized. Oh, you mean goddess. Gazaf raised his brow, little bit disturbed that even the boy calls that girl like that. He must really like to play along with her. Or the girl deceived him from the beginning. Either way, it was not his business. He was not a person who judged unknown people according to their odd habits. Thus, he commented it not. If you call her like that, then yes. She used to start her work later, usually around 9 o'clock, so she is not adventuring. It was not surprising. She looked quite soft. Monsters in that place would right away tear her apart. Even mages who adventure has some muscle on them. The constant traveling and mana consumption makes them pick up some even if they not training physically at all, but burning mana continuously. She is not. But she does what she can to help us out, even taking a job to help with the costs. Of course, once our monetary state turns better, I will ask her to stop. A goddess working will not do after all. I see. Gazaf smiled. This kid has a too good heart for this world, maybe for the city too. I have 100 more strikes before finishing and do the draining stretching. Care to join me? I am sure it will do some good before entering the dungeon. Going into a fight without warming up usually comes with injury or muscle damage. Can I? His eyes shone, grasping on the chance right away. Of course. And Gazaf just chuckled seeing the youth's enthusiasm. You use a dagger, no? Come, I show you an effective exercise. Yes. And then, Gazaf and Bell trained a small amount, the former warrior captain giving a few tips to the boy how to use a weapon more effectively, what stance he should take facing an opponent. It was only around half an hour, but Bell learned much under a short time. Scene change, the guild. Meanwhile, in the guild, A particular advisor rested her head on her desk. Ho! Towering above her multiple piles of papers, the girl with pink hair and guild uniform groaned. Even watching the pack of papers before her filled her with exhaustion. Why there is so much? She only arrived around an hour ago, but she was already exhausted. Finding a big pile of papers every day on her desk was not a pleasant surprise and was honestly discouraging. Of course, it was not that she received this much paperwork every day. She just pushes most of it to the next day, doing so almost every day. It became more and more as the days passed, until several piles of towering papers took up nearly every place on her desk, making it look messy. Let's start again. Taking a big breath, she took another form, starting to skim it through, urging herself not to give up, get rid of it all as soon as possible. Working, and working, minutes passed, but she honestly felt they were like hours. Time crawled like a snail. Why this is so boring? Misha. However, in the next moment, a familiar sound hit her ears. Are you here? Looking around, the half-elf Ina looked around, adjusting her glasses. Glancing on the station of her workmate, she only saw several big piles of papers. Misha, she raised her brow, suspecting her human friend behind those paper towers. I am here, and the girl revealed, walking out from behind his paper-filled table. Your table is messy again. Ah, yes. Sorry about it. I may owe a little paperwork. I see that. And Ina just pushed up her spectacles on her nose, looking extra strict from the light reflecting on her lenses. You should not neglect your paperwork, Misha. It is just as important as advising. It is part of the process. I will not. Please forgive me. I was just swamped advising adventurers in the recent days. Ina was scary. It was undeniable. Even most of the men who tried to propose her scared away by her evil teacher-like stare, merely saying no, and breaking their spirit just like that. In that case, okay, but try to catch up with it. We don't want another inspection, do we? Misha shuddered, watching Ina with slight fear. Oh, of course. I do my best. And Ina nodded approving. Anything else I can do for you, Ina? Gulp. Ah, yes, she nodded, recovering a file under her arm. There are two things actually. Yes? First thing first. Read this. Handing the file to her, Misha skimmed it through. It was about a fight before the Hostess of Fertility happened last night. A damage report to be precise. Destroyed street, damaged buildings, a collapsed wall. Who the hell did this? It was nothing unusual at first sight. A few adventurers used to brawl when they are drunk or have a severe enmity against each other, but the report described serious property damage. Just two adventurers could hardly do this. Yet, reading further, skimming through the description of the participants, Misha started to get a horrible feeling about this. It spoke about two people who fought. An unknown man with tan skin, dark brown hair, and black eyes. Armored, with two sheathed weapons on his back. Until now, it was nothing strange, as many adventurers had the same characteristic. Strangely, even her new client after gearing up. What came after this made her eyes widen thought. Fought against Bet Loga, aka Fenrir, and she gulped, her eyes ticking, cannot believe what she just read. And won. She roared flabbergasted. Defeating Bet was hardly possible. Not for an individual who lower level than Bet himself. Not for those who are but the cream of the level 6 adventurers of the city, or even a massive numerical superiority, facing against the famous member of Loki Familia, with no less than many levels 5 in their ranks. Or even the king himself facing Bet in a battle. It was utterly absurd hearing someone defeated him one day to another. Moreover, people can't say for sure who was that individual. Who was that? Trembling, her neck turned. From the description, the person who defeated Fenrir resembled her new client. But that cannot be. Yes, without Falna to support growth, such power is not possible. Ah yes, Ina hummed, placing her hand on her chin. This is the second thing. Lady Loki is awaiting you in one of our meeting rooms. She said she wants to speak with the consultant of the adventurer named Zeph. Misha started to shudder, her worst nightmare coming to life. Even her neck began to crack. Crack, with a loud noise on top of that. Just tilting her head sudden gave that sound. Do you know anything about this, Misha? The two things connected? Her colleague asked, suspicious, guessing the actual happenings. Ha. I need to go. I can't make Lady Loki wait. Misha. Ina's stern voice stopped the girl, making her turn back as he was to leave their shared workplace. Yes? Please, don't do anything reckless. If there is a problem. Omo. Don't worry. She smiled, glad to have such good friends. Take care. Ina's expression softened, watching worried as her friend left the room. Heading towards the meeting chamber, Loki already awaited her. Yo, it is about time. And like always, Loki smirked, on her side A's, sitting in silence, grinning at Misha as the girl entered the room. Ah, Lady Loki, and the famous sword princess, A's Wallenstein. What can I do for you two? Misha tried to keep her calm, but she just can't. Her face still trembled. She really hoped the two things had nothing to do with each other. Oh, don't be so nervous. Loki smirked, leaning forward, folding her fingers under her chin. We are only here for a friendly chat. And for some information. Her always closed eyes opened slightly, making Misha more nervous than she supposed so. Don't be nervous. Ah, yes, right? She can't help, but still tremble slightly, fearing the thing she feared come to life. Now then, tell me, you are the consultant of the adventurer named Zeph. Is he did something wrong? Is my client did something wrong? She shuddered. The faint hope Zeph did nothing still lingered in her soul. Of course not. Loki waved away even the assumption with a light-hearted wave, still smiling uncaring before her eyes. I just want to know the man who defeated my Fenrir. I am kinda interested in recruiting him. And Misha's worst fears confirmed. Her new client more than he looks. How could we miss this? She bit her lips, already seeing the other gods lining up before her, and Zeph's door, trying to recruit him, with cheap tricks or force if it's necessary. Please start everything from the beginning. And thus, Loki urged her. A slight light is appearing in A's until now empty eyes. How will Misha answer? You will know later. Damn it, Zeph. Just who are you? Aren't you two want some tea? It may take a while. Nope, just start speaking. And just like that, Loki spoiled her chance to get out there, find out something. The pressure was immense. Scene change, somewhere in the city. Maybe she didn't even suspect, but on the other part of the city, the mentioned man headed towards his destination. Achoo, the man sneezed, looking up somewhat uneasy. I don't feel sick, maybe someone mentioned my name. Walking forward, he can only wonder who that was. Maybe it was Brain, or even Climb, one of his survivor soldiers, or even his king, or even perhaps, Ainslgown. Unfortunately, he had not the faintest idea who would mention his name, and it was just merely stupid thinking about it. Maybe it's nothing. He decided, it is nothing, merely continuing his way. Almost an hour passed since he and young Belle parted ways, finishing their morning exercise. From what he saw, the boy has no talent, but he is an enthusiastic and hard worker. Two positive quality that will lead to a bright figure if he continues training relentlessly. Of course, this was only the first time he saw him train and instructed the youth. Only around a half an hour. Maybe later he will find something that worth building on. From one brief exercise, even Gazaf, who trained many soldiers in his life, could hardly say if there is a hidden potential in someone. After several days, maybe, after just half an hour stretching and instructing, not likely. Even he, the former warrior captain, can't do that. Where is that shop? Watching the map, then looking up at the street sign, he hummed. This way. Walking down the street, a few more minutes, and he found the place he was looking for. It was in a heavily dilapidated part of the city. He even needed to walk through the Red Lamp district to reach it without a roundabout. So this is it. Standing before an old building, while hidden in an alley, almost blending amidst the buildings strictly built near it. Usually, one could not find this establishment without a guide to point the way, as it was quite old and dilapidated, with even its name sign heavily worn. Its windows covered by rusted metal bars, behind it different books and maps showcased. Just like the building itself, dusty and old, located in the worst part of the city, it was the epithet of a rundown store. Secrets of Toth, huh? Gazaf watched the symbols Misha scrabbled on a paper, comparing it with the worn name table above the entrance and his translation written near Misha's own. It took longer finding it than I expected, the man sighed somewhat disappointed, folding the city map in his hand. At least I found it, finally. And thus, Gazaf opened the door, finally reaching the insides of the building. Hello? Anyone there? His heavy steps resounded in the dusty insides. What he will find, you will know from the next chapter. Chapter 6, A Quartet of Goddesses and the Warrior, Part 2. The insides of the building were just like outside, dusty and old-looking. Messily, many books laid around, forming towers made from literature, folded maps, and scrolls all around. Behind the counter, hidden by many books, a small figure sat, her legs hidden in her sandals. On her lap, a massive book rested. Her day started like any other, waking up, tidying things a little up. As much she was able, she was not really talented keeping things organized as one may surmise from the state of her shop. Complete the few orders she receives, and wait for customers. Yet, until now, no one came. Since a few days, no one visited her small shop. Not even the ones ordered the hand-drawn maps came to pick up their orders. I put so much work on them, she bit her lip, visibly angry and somewhat bitter. With barely 2 members, her only choice was to work, keep the shop going. The store she opened from the borrowed money of her friend. And being all her members delving the dungeon day and night to scrape together just as much to keep them going. They can't remain here to help. All in all, her familia was the bottom of the food chain. Only the gods without familia and members were lower than her. Said so, maybe even the Mayak familia was better when it came to money. Huh, not as anyone would be interested. She mumbled, using the flat tone of a child, somewhat disappointed. No one remains here with her. No one wants to join. She even put up many advertisements in the guild and all around the city just to advertise her shop and the open positions in her familia. Yet, no one wanted to join. She seriously considered the problem is with her and not with her methods. With the income of the 3 of them, barely, but they stayed afloat. This shop required not much maintenance, nor constant new stock after all. The books, scrolls, and map not so much go bad like food or drink or any other perishable goods. Thus, they managed somehow. Her shop only needed to be kept nice and tidy, which, from the state of the environment, was deducible not her strong point. But she can't help it. She always found an old book lying around she was interested in, then started to read it, making all her days gone under a blink of an eye. Clang! In the next moment, the small bell above the door rang, signing someone entered her shop. Hello? Anyone there? Several hard steps approached the counter. Audibly the steps belong of a man wearing leather boots. Ah, a customer. Her golden eyes lit up immediately. Since days, this was the first time someone aside of her children entered her shop. Jumping up, she pushed one of the stocks of books at the side, hastily, not even caring what kind of chain reaction she starts. Yes, how can I help you? Thud, and by simply pushing the books at the side, several scrolls just balanced on a hairbreadth on the bottom of the counter had fallen, followed by several more books and loose papers. Oh, damn it, let me help you. And no, it's not necessary. She wanted to stop the suddenly appeared stranger, but it was too late. Nonsense. The man right away stepped, picking up the papers and the books, dusting them off slightly, and placing them back their place. Cough, cough, little bit dusty. All right. Embarrassed, the girl blushed and looked away. She surely should clean a little bit, but as said, her attention always distracted by something else, and her children, too tired to take care of it all the time. Just now, she looked at the man. He literally towered above her. Tan skin, clad in armor, muscled, with a sexy side beard connected on his chin. Just my type, her eyes shone in an eerie light, already imagining the man holding her in his strong arm. Hee. No. Stupid. Not now. Cut it. It was no time to wander. She chided herself immediately. Hello? How can I help you? Dear customer. Did you come looking for an interesting book? A map? We even offer drawing and copy editing services. And many more. If you're looking for long-lost knowledge, look no further. What's your favorite book type? Novels, educational, guidebooks? My favorites are historical works. We have all type of books. If you don't find it here, we will get it for you. And her rambling continued for long seconds, making the man before her just stand confused, trying to process all the things she said. It was honestly confusing how such a small girl can speak so fast and so long. So? What's your poison? She grinned for long moments before the man's next sentence made her mood change drastically. If you excuse me, is there any adult around? She heard the question clear, and her neck cracked. Crack, suddenly tilting her head with a ticking eye. Excuse me, her mouth trembled, definitely edging to burst. What did you just said? I would like to speak with an adult, if possible. I am looking for maps of a specific kind. Is there any around? I am an adult, she screamed, bursting out like a volcano, making even the towering man back, the air trembling around her, feeling the rage of the goddess of knowledge and scribes. You are? And the man just watched her, filled with unbelief, looking down at the strange child. Yes, I am. Then the owner? I am the owner. Tough. Oh, just recognizing. The child was indeed strange, giving off the same aura as Hestia herself. Her skin heavily tanned, caramel, eyes golden, hair deep black, bob cut mid-long, her ears pointy like of an elf. Only wearing a short mini skirt and a loose top, most likely made from linen, covering her flat chest. She indeed looked strange, for first, Gazaf would never say she was an adult at all, but a bratty child around the age of 10. A beautiful child, but still a child nonetheless. So you are Toph. Sorry, I expected someone else, the man apologized, still watching her confused. Understandable, she smirked smug, pushing forward her chest. But I will forgive you. From the tales you heard about me, you must be expected someone grander. Never heard of you. Admitted slightly sheepish the man, scratching his face. What? You never heard about the great Toph? The patron of all scribes, mages, and every wise being? The goddess of writing, magic, and wisdom? Not really, answered flat the man. Great. Another child who likes to play being a god. Rolling his eyes, the man could only sigh, hoping he will meet not more people with such fetish. Ag. This is depressing. And she just hung her arm, wholly defeated. How fall I have fallen, she crouched in the corner, giving away a depressing aura. There. And the man patted her head, making her tick even more. Please stop. You make it even worse. Sorry. Backing, Gazaf looked slightly apologetic. Can you help me? I am looking maps in a certain nature. Sniff. Second floor, good luck. Try not to steal anything. She looked utterly devastated not only by the fact someone thought her as a simple child, but by the point. She was not famous at all. But she should have expected this. She was never popular even up there, always being a weirdo even in her family, spending her time alone, reading and scribbling things. Why I even thought coming down there is a good idea. She already regretted coming down there, leaving her comfortable place. One of her reasons coming down there was, of course, the fact up there was boring and no new books which she never read were around. But at least she lived in luxury, not in a garbage dump like this shop. Can you help me, please? I am not really familiar with maps. Also, this man can't really read the text of this world. Do you really want my help? She wiped her eye, on the verge to shed some more tears. Yes, I really, he nodded. My name is Zeph, by the way. Toph. They introduced once again, smiling at each other. Then, Lady Toph, will you help me out? Of course, if there is nothing more important. Looking around, the whole shop was empty, a depressive sight for the small goddess. Well, there are a few things I should take care, but I will help you. Many thanks. And thus, the two headed up, looking through the maps the small goddess had in stock. Scene change, Twilight Manor, Loki Familia headquarters. Ugh, Loki groaned, throwing herself on the couch, laying like a mass of melted cheese. So, what it was like, managed to know anything? Asked the Palom with blonde hair and a gentle smile, visibly sensing the concern of his goddess. Solving this, he and his companions already prepared some tea. Don't even ask. Loki suddenly leaned forward, visibly angry, grabbing her head. Nothing. There was nothing new, that girl told me. It was just a waste of time visiting that guild. Girl. His consultant. Loki corrected herself. She just said the same template. She doesn't know for sure where he is from. He tells no one about his god, nor he wants to anyone know what level he is. He just appeared one day, make a deal with the guild, and registered as an adventurer. Nothing more. Not even where he lives. Just his damn name. Zeph. I already know that. Damn it. She hit the table with all her power, immediately regretting as her fists started to ache. Oh, dagnabit. A deal? Hearing this, Even Finn raised his brow, making his dwarf and elf companion look at each other and inquired. Something like he lost a few items, looking for them. Unfortunately, the girl refused to give away any more information, citing privacy rights. Privacy rights. Damn privacy rights. Who cares about them? I want my information. Like a child in a tantrum, Loki hit the table, and her fist starting to throb once more, tears gathering in her eyes. There, every people has their secrets. Finn chuckled amused. TCH. And Loki just looked away, entirely unamused by her child lack of concern about the topic. Who cares about that? I want to know who he is. I want his secrets. You know, despite being the goddess of trickery, you are awfully against secrets. I am not. She stuck her tongue for a moment. I am just when they tell me nothing. I am just because they give me no mark where I can start my investigation. This is seriously concerning. Aren't you agree? Why not ask this man then? Finn folded his arms over his chest, facing Loki. And where should I find him? She was honestly annoyed. Not only she got no clear answer from her own child, but more question raised after meeting that stuttering consultant. You know, Finn drank from his tea, prepared and placed by his elf friend. You have connections, no? Use them. Ugh, but I want to solve this mystery alone. I don't want to call favors just for this. Loki grabbed her head, elbowing her laps. I want to know who he is. It was a somewhat rare seeing Loki like this, annoyed, and at once, concerned about something. She usually always uncaring about worldly things. Only want to listen to a few good stories and drink Soma wine. Or if they lack that particular brand, any other booze she finds around. Pranks a few people and boast with her familia and their accomplishment. Her yawning about the topic started to resemble a child's tantrum, which, considering the goddess' general nature, was not so unlikely from her. One cannot deny it. She is like a big child moody. If she can't get her hand on something, she willing to cry until she gets it. Finn's sweat dropped. Riveria just sighed tired, and Gareth just chuckled, shaking his head. They already accustomed how the goddess of mischief worked. Well, it is this or that. You need to choose. Something for something, as the saying goes. Or are you saying, you already giving up? Of course I am not, she snorted, opening her eyes slightly. It is just annoying. For now, I should already have some clue who he is. Where he came from. Where his alignment lies. Yet, I have nothing, she grabbed her head, facing the ground face down. The only thing I managed to know that he came from far, from a place called the Kingdom, and his name is Zeph. Appearing around 2 days ago and registering in the guild. Who gives just that much info? And what kingdom? I never heard a country called just like that. Isn't it possible he came from Rakia? Everyone looked at Lafia, who in the meantime listened to the conversation, arriving not long ago to the meeting hall. Everyone just stared the timid elf, clothed in a pinkish dress, and she looked around somewhat discouraged, fearing she spouted something silly again. Did I said something wrong? She asked, afraid she said something stupid. I mean, he somewhat resembles the people coming here. Tan skin, brownish hair. She tried to reason, saving what can be saved, reciting how she remembered the man from last night. That may be possible, snorted Loki, then right away discarded the idea. But if that buffoon Ares would have such child under him, he would not send him away, but keeping him in reserve as a secret weapon, in case of his next invasion. No, he would most likely already started to boast with him, telling everyone about him. He was always a muscle-brained idiot, not a person who keeps such a thing in secret. Just now, Loki spoke about the kingdom of Rakia usual attempts to invade and possibly conquer Oreo, sending a significant number of soldiers to storm the city and capture it in every few years. Of course, the invasion always fails, and the Rakian army always retreats miserably beaten and discouraged. As she heard, Ares still causes trouble to his generals with his stupid ideas, still commanding them to invade Oreo. Even if his best generals trying to convince him it is meaningless with no high-level adventurer in their ranks. It is not surprising, though. Loki was almost amused by the man's constant attempts. Sending a bunch of level 1 supported barely a few level 2 and at most one level 3 is a meager attempt to capture the city. This city of Oreo not only boasted with the highest concentration of adventurers, but many of them were level 2 and above. Even level 5 or 6 can be found here. Not speaking here alone can be found one of the 2 known level 7 adventurers of the entire world. It was a well-known fact amongst adventurers. One level difference means the world between two. A bunch of level 1 teaming up can beat a level 2, stating, if they plan a raid and caught the level 2 off guard, but alone, it is unlikely for a lower level person to beat a level higher. And of course, as the level gap increases, this noticeable difference just becomes even more apparent. The skills and resistances one gain while leveling up also stack on this. Basically, a level 3 or 4 enough to kill hundreds, if not thousands of level 1, and go on. A level 5 or 6 is even worse. They could also take the whole Reikian army, and in time possibly drive them out, stating, the military remains in one place, and the adventurer does not exhaust themselves. Stating so, the only thing that prevents a high-level adventurer massacre the whole army of level 1 is exhaustion, and the fact they can't cover that much area as an army. One person obviously can't cover an area as big as Aurario's surrounding. This was fact. Stating, sending an army against such odds is mere stupidity, yet Ares does so in every few years, sending his people in the meat grinder despite his generals massively protest him doing so. But it is not surprising. Aurario is the place where the highest concentration of high-level adventures station. And since the dungeon is here, their numbers constantly growing. There were several ways to level up. One is to take a job or profession, for example smithing, trading, or fishing, and do it consistently. Many do it in the city. Hell, there were even whole familias doing one exact profession and earning great money with it. Like Hephaestus or Goibniu familia. Loki remembered the redhead goddess with an eye patch and the half-nudist old man. This method was obviously slower, but safer to gain levels. One needed not to endanger their lives with meaningless adventuring, after all. The second, and obviously faster method, was to train endlessly. This was a better method to gain excellia, and with it, levels, but still not the best practice for those who want to increase levels and become stronger fast. The problem with this method was the fact it was hard to reach the necessary catalyst to level up, the deed that made the gods recognize the adventurer's accomplishment and gain him her levels. Thus, no matter how diligent one trained, they stuck on a certain level until they did some great deed, a deed even the gods recognized, a catalyst that pushed the adventurer through the level threshold. It was an unfortunate fact, or not if you asked many. But being the dungeon can be only found in this city, delving the dungeon was the method many may choose who comes here, and also the fastest method to level up and get strong fast. Risking one's life, adventure, and accomplish great deeds even the gods recognize. Yes, this was the third method. Thought, this may be the fastest method, but also the most dangerous method to level up. Many died choosing this lifestyle, not even getting past level 1, or forever stuck on a certain level unable to accomplish any great deed before they died. Naturally, Reikia lacks the dungeon wherefrom they could gain adventurers above level 1 fast. Thus, the only method available for them is to train endless, hoping one of the soldiers will gain enough merits to level up. It is a painfully long process, often taking long years even to level up one level, even using the dungeon and adventuring. Without it, most of the times it took longer to advance. Yet, he always fails, because he has nothing more but a few level 2s and even fewer 3, always sending them in the meat grinder before they could really start leveling. Loki said so, finally finishing her mental rambling, excluding Reikia from the possible places where the man could have came from. That muscle-brained idiot is just too short-sighted and impatient to raise and keep such fighter, and it is not likely anyone of such caliber want to join him. Obviously, she referred at Ares. Then what do you think? Loki folded her arms over her flat chest, thinking, I never heard a high-level adventurer named Zeph. So it is obvious, the name is fake. Neither I know any place simply called the Kingdom. The guy is hiding something, and I want to know what. Then, we need to keep our eyes open. Finn still smiled, ticking his goddess even more. Aren't you a little bit curious? Just a little bit, smiled the Palom hero. You are unbearable. And this made her even more depressed. I am. And Finn just laughed on his goddess rage, watching her mumbling while turning her head away offended. By the way, how is Bet? I didn't see him since last night, asked Laphias suddenly, seeking to divert the topic and bring back the good mood between the members. Huh. He is still dazed and nauseous. That hit really struck him hard. Gareth sighed, shaking his head disapproving. He saw Bet limbering around. The boy still vomited time to time, spending most of his days in his bed. The brain was a precise tool. Even with healing potions, a concussion is not a thing that can be healed quickly. The after effects linger with the victim for several days. All day he laid on the bed. When I asked what he is doing, he said he drank too much last night. Riveria gave her an honest answer, and her goddess can only laugh. All know too well, that was not the case. The werewolf can bear much more drink than he drank last night, and still able to stand for a few rounds. The state he was in, all thanks to the massive concussions he suffered and the vibration washed through his body from the strike. Fufufu. That's for him. Pick a quarrel with an unknown opponent. La Lady Loki, aren't you concerned? He could be seriously hurt. PFT. He may be, but it was his own fault, picking a fight with an obviously strong guy. This will make him consider twice picking a fight with everyone. Ah, how nice of you. Finn tilted his head, smiling uneasily, and everyone's sweat dropped around. But I still wonder what kind of technique he used. I never saw anything like that before. You, Gareth. It was definitely interesting. The dwarf caressed his well-kept beard, recalling the fight. I as well was surprised. It was something entirely new. Like one moment to the other, he suddenly accelerated without any possible reason, repelling attacks by simply raising his arm, not even reacting to the force behind the attack. Most likely some kind of new skill, hummed Finn. Any idea, Riveria? The only thing I know, the energy his body emitted felt unnatural. Unnatural? For this, even Loki raised her head. What do you mean? Did you recognize when his body glowed? Glowed. Lafia blinked. No, I didn't saw such a thing. I saw it, confirmed Finn. Gareth also released an approving snort. Huh? Guys, tell me something. And Loki only looked around confused, trying to understand the situation. It was most likely came with the activation of some skill. It felt like. The elf royalty looked away, remaining silent, her face darkening. It was like for a moment the rules of the world changed around him, changed by an unknown force. You mean? Using skill or magic always increases the amount of life force or magical energy the person circulates and releases. Skills, usually using the first, magic the latter. High-level individuals can sense this. Ah. Lafia and Loki gasped, hearing out Riveria's explanation. Yet, when his body glowed, I felt the first, but also something entirely different. It made me shiver in my boots. Oi, what do you mean, shivered? Now, Loki started to suspect. Riveria most likely felt the same thing as her, reacting to Gazaf's activation of technique. Exactly, like this person forced the world to behave as he willed it, making him able to accelerate himself and block Bet's pulverizing kicks instantly. I see. Now Loki was sure. Riveria felt the same thing as her. But it was not that surprising. The sense of high-level individuals was always sharp, moreover if the person was an elf. Elves were still weird that way. The ones specialized in magic were more so, extremely sensitive to the change of the aura of others. So, what do you intended to do now? I may need to call a few favors. I don't want to act boldly, but I also don't want Freya get him first. Once she gets wind of this, she surely strikes. And after her, the rest will follow. Are you going to hunt then? Going to hunt then. Her thin eyes opened, revealing the two crimson orbs of hers. Scene change. Secrets of Thoth, second floor. Are you sure it is called Rieste Eyes? The petite goddess sweat dropped, seriously doubting a kingdom named like that exists anywhere. I am sure. And Gazaf nodded, starting to worry. It is since hours they started to skim through the contents of the shop, beginning with the maps, then going to the records. Be it surprising or not, they found no trace of the Rieste Eyes kingdom, neither the Baharuth Empire, slain theocracy, or any other nation Gazaf was familiar with. The warrior captain seriously started to question just where the hell he dropped into. Gaundano, just where the 9 hells you transported me. Not one map, not one records contained the things Gazaf sought. Not one country looked similar, even the continent shaped differently than Gazaf remembered. Is it possible there is a world map somewhere in the shop? World map? Tilted her head, Toth, blinking confusedly. World map. Gazaf nodded. You know, a map which contains multiple continents. I know what a world map is, replied flat and unamused the small goddess. Almost offended, the man assumed she knows it not. Unfortunately, those things are pricey and rare on top of that. I don't have one. Not speaking about there are many fake ones out there. Only a really sophisticated, well-informed, and well-versed in cartographer could make a difference between a phony map and a correct copy. An individual like her. Oh, I see. Gazaf looked away, starting to lose hope he will ever find his way home. In that case, is there any way to get one? Why is it so important for you? Toth raised her brow, honestly curious why Zeph wants to find that place so desperate. I just want to know, that's it. Geez, the small goddess shrugged, feeling the tension coming from the man. You don't have to be so rude, I understand. If you don't want to speak about it, then don't. She now honestly looked quite irritated. True, that makes my work much harder. Please forgive me, for now. Even Gazef realized he might went too far, bowing his head before her. I may went too far, but please, understand, I need to find that place. In that case, I have a few friends, I can pull a few strings. But it will be not easy, and it may cost a hefty coin. Maps containing not only this, but other lands are rare as said, and many of them fake. It is hard to find a good one. It may even take considerable time. Don't worry, I have a feeling I will stay here for a while. Back then, Gazef considered the chance he might find the kingdom's treasures and with them the way home soon. But with each day, this possibility started to slip farther and farther away. He may even need to come up with a long-term plan and furnish a permanent base in the city or outside wherefrom he can conduct his search. Securing a constant income would also be a good thing to have. Being an adventurer seems steady enough in this city, but also dangerous. Who knows when I get crippled or raided by others? Gazef feared not the battle, not even monsters, not even people. He faced them any day of the week and slept well afterward. What he feared being unable to act and reach his goals. Said goal was to find the treasures and return home. Yet, without a hefty amount of coin, it was impossible to reach. He needed a plan even in the case he gets injured and can't go down there to collect crystals, which afterward he can trade for the coin. Good, she hummed, watching the man for several long moments. Say, can you read it all? Why do you ask? Zeph just blinked, somewhat embarrassed. Didn't expecting this child to point it out this easily. It was just strange. You didn't read the text on the map, only looking at the shape of the land and the country borders. And how do you exactly know that? Gazef started to suspect something was not right with this little girl. Simple observation. Your eyes moved differently than the ones reading the text. Your face showed not the expression I used to see on those who understand what they read. Don't even deny. Pointing at him, she grinned, not even trying to hide her smug expression. The face as someone dismantled your every secret. Maybe I just didn't found what I am looking for, and that's why my expression was like that. Nope, she crossed her arms, palms out. I watched many people read. I recognized the subtle signs. You can't read, at least not this text. The desperate expression you tried to decode unknown characters is undeniable. Don't even try to deny it. I am the goddess of knowledge and scribes. I know what I am speaking about, and once more, she boasted, she loved to brag with her titles. Is that so obvious? Pretty much, and as such, Gazef had been defeated, exposed by a little girl. I also offer lecturing services. I am sure with a private tutor you will catch up in no time. She offered, smiling gently. I will consider it. Misha already promised she would teach him the written language. It would be rude to ditch her just like that. But considering she is most likely a busy person, he rather not burden her further. It is better to hire a private tutor to help him fix this deficiency of his. Compared to your age, you are pretty knowledgeable. Hee. Thanks, she stuck her tongue happy. Then realized, Gazef once more called her a child. Ugh. So, any other records we can skim? Nothing around as I remember. Starching her head, she looked around, seeing how messy everything become. But I will dig around once more. Maybe I can find something hidden in this mess. Also, I will pull a few strings, see what I can find. Thank you. Gazef nodded, both happy and disappointed with the outcome. How much I owe for your help? Well, considering the work hours, the fact I left behind a good book, it will be 10,000 valis. Gazef just raised his brow, considering the value of money, but said nothing. After all, the girl worked hard, helping him with knowledge others not likely to possess, and even for a man like him, Knowledge was power. Underestimating its price, nothing more than foolishness. Very well. Taking out his leather purse, he offered 11 coins with symbols depicting 1,000 V. Fortunately, Lady Mia introduced different coins, stating their value. The girl gaped, seeing the coins. Yo, you really want to pay that much? She was honestly flabbergasted and scared. She just joked. She cannot possibly ask 10,000 only for this. And what the heck? The man handed her 11 such coins. Well, you asked this much. I can only oblige the request. Hard work needed to be paid after all. Yes, he always thought so. Only stupid people await free and qualitative work. This is why his king always treated his people right. Not only because he was a good man, but because he was well aware, happy, and satisfied workforce works better than slaves ever be. Ugh, and she can only fume with a red face, hearing the man. It was nothing. I really didn't mind it. On the other side, no one came while they worked. This was once good, as well as depressing. Good, because Zeph was charming to her and polite all along. A true gentleman. Good-looking, and also a gentleman. Why fate beating me this hard? Bad, because it really showed how undervisited her shop was, how few knew her shop was actually here and open. Maybe I should have opened my shop elsewhere. She should or would do it if she wasn't wholly broke back then. Even this hidden place cost a hefty sum, and this was after her friends sold it to her for a generous price. I still paying the debt. Please, accept it. You deserve it for your hard work. Ugh, fine. She grabbed the coin with some reluctance. At least she and her children will eat well tonight. The man just nodded humble and was on to leave. Thank you for your help. I will visit you sometime, inquiring about your progress. May I ask? Excuse me. May I ask, do you have a familia? Why do you ask? Gazaf stopped, just staring the girl for long moments. Well, she looked away, pushing her indexes together, her face visibly blushing. If you don't mind, you can join my familia. I wouldn't mind. I mean, you can get first-hand information when I manage to get the map. As well, you could read all the books here, for free. Of course, after I tutor you how to read. Of course, that's also free. Gazaf smiled, brushing her hair, thinking. This familia game again. Chuckling all along, he can't help but smile gently. Kids in this town really like to play this. I wonder what these so-called gods think about this. But maybe, they don't really mind it. As he heard from Lady Lockhughes and several priests, gods adore when people worship them, children playing the role of a courageous knight, prophets who spread their name. In this case, this little one, and the one named Hestia just paid respect to these deities, nothing more, playing with fantasy. Albeit, Gazaf shuddered even to the tough. He encountered his fair share of false prophets, doing terrorist acts against the people just to prove their faith either to different gods, or even demons. He only hoped these children would not grow to be such people. Hey, the small goddess pouted, feeling the man takes her not seriously, messing up her hair with his big hand, a hand which literally covered the whole top of her head. Unfortunately, I can't stay. Once my business conducted, I plan to return home. There are people who count on me. I see. Toth sighed, filled with disappointment. She should have expected this. Why would Zeph want to join her? She has nothing to offer. Not a reputable familia, not standard beds to sleep. Only a couch and a few sleeping bags, and a messy shop filled with books, documents, and maps. But, her eyes shone once more, feeling there is a chance. I may take on your word, and use that tutoring you mentioned. Of course, for adequate compensation. The man added, filling her with some hope, and with it, happiness. You can bet on it, she smirked, seeing the chance that one day she might gain another member of her small familia. See you later, Lady Toth. I may visit your shop once more in the meantime. Take care. And with that, the two parted ways, Gazaf leaving the shop with a satisfied expression on his face. He may not found what he is looking for, but he at least found a person who he can rely on if the time comes. What a strange figure. And thus, the small goddess muttered, looking around once more. He is right. I need to clean this place. No wonder I don't have any constant visitors. Just a few orders each month. And just now she recognized the sad truth once more. She started to sulk. Yet, right away turned invigorated once more seeing the handful of coins in her small palm. So much money. We will eat like kings tonight. Scene change, on the streets. Now it is solved, I can proceed. Gazaf hummed satisfied, checking the book the girl gave him as a present before he left. She was nice. Wonder where her parents are. Child's not supposed to the left by themselves at her age. True. Even in Rieste eyes, there were many orphans, children losing their parents due to numerous circumstances. War, sickness, murder, crime. Name one reason, and it happened. Often they left without any relative to move to take care of them, or simply discarded as an unnecessary burden, left on the streets to live like rats. Many of them living in the slums, joining crime organizations to survive. Crime syndicates like the Eight Fingers. These children later become the new generation of criminals, filling the ranks of Eight Fingers year after year. This was sad, but it cannot be helped. This was the inherent bad came with every modern society of their age. There will always be those who discarded and forgotten. We can only pray they find a reason to live and not fall to dark. Even in the kingdom, despite his king, his and several more people's own best efforts, the crime was constant. A syndicate infesting not only his but other countries always present, called the Eight Fingers, and just looking around he recognized the signs of the same thing. All these people, no matter their coordinated raids on their bases and the attack of the demon emperor Jaldabaoth, he was sure, in a few years or months, the Eight Fingers will be back in the business like nothing happened. Even more, maybe becoming stronger than ever. Just looking around, he made himself remember the capital's red light district, the place also controlled by corrupted nobles and the executives of the said syndicate, filled with whores and homeless children. He muttered, seeing many dark-skinned Amazons winking at him, several street rats, children, running through the muddy alleys, playing, seeking their prey to pickpocket. "Hey handsome, want a good time?" asked one of Busty Amazon's sultry, already licking her lip. Her clothes are revealing, resembling of a belly dancer's outfit. In her hand, holding an opium pipe elegant. "Sorry, not now. Have an important thing to do." And he replied just like that, making the girl chuckle uncaring. "Fuff, your loss." The whore just chuckled, chuckling down the refusal, like she didn't even care. "Just say if you changed your mind, I will be here. I always have some time for handsome cutie face like you." She winked. These girls long ago accustomed to being rejected, not taking it personally. Gazaf knew these kinds of people too well, had to drag his man not once from different whorehouses, soldiers who became too enamored and drunk under celebration. Humph. Ignoring the hungry gazes of the carnivorous females around, Gazaf proceeded, slowly reaching the edge of the area just called Red Light District of the town. All along, he felt something peering his back, and he meant not the lustful gazes of the different prostitutes. No, someone followed him for some time. Not one, but several people trailing him. Taking several more turns, he reached a dead end, peering behind his back with a serious gaze. "You can come out now," he called. Yet, no one answered. Still, he heard the rustle behind the corner and above him. Moving on the rooftops, their steps soft, but can't hide from his heightened senses. Even without the use of martial arts, he can judge their rough position. "Don't hide. I know you are here." WL, well. In the next moment, a skinny figure stepped out from the shadows. His face full with piercings, several tattoos visible all across his body, head bald. A mighty adventurer passing our streets, and not even paying taxes. TCH. The unknown man shook his head, looking quite ugly with a scar running through his eyes. "I thought walking on the streets is free," and Gazaf replied, his expression stern, not even faltering seeing the weird man. "I am afraid, not in this part of the city," continued the man. Around, several shadows already appeared, eyes measuring the man from the shadows. "You are new here, aren't you?" asked the bald with a chuckle, in his eyes a greedy light lighting. "You can say that. In that case, I will need to inform you." The man started to grin, snapping his fingers. "You are passing Lady Phryne territory, who serves the great god of love, sex, and war, Lady Ishtar." "I see. In that case, let me on my way, and I will leave as soon as possible. You will not see me again." TCH. Bald shook his index, clicking his tongue mischievous. "You see, that's not that easy." "Why so?" "In the lady's territory, everyone needs to pay. That's the rule. Everybody obliged to use the services of the girls or boys. Yet, you all refuse the advancement of all who advance. Don't even deny, we watched you. Gazaf squinted his eyes angry. He already suspected he can't get out without a fight. He knew this type of people too well. They only need to find a reason, and they will try to bully you, take your money and possession, ransom you, and live on your work like parasites. Against such people, the only useful tool was violence, making them know who they can, or who's not mess with, beat some sense in them. That means you refuse the goddess love, and with it paying the taxes. You mocking her with your mere presence here. Please forgive me. I am not here to indulge myself. Hearing this, the bandit raised his brow and inquired, Is that so? Then why are you here? Personal reasons, not your business, Gazaf confirmed, not allowing himself to fall the man's manipulation and attempt of robbery. Yet, he felt, it's all for naught, as he can't get away without fighting. In that case, the mugger was on to call his friends when Gazaf interrupted him. Is that really a rule here, or you just want to mug me? If it's the latter, simply call your friends and get over with it. Don't interrupt me. And the bandit right away shook his index, slightly angry he was interrupted. Huh? Why me? Cracking his neck, the warrior captain was prepared. I warn you only once. I have no mood to deal with you. If you come against me, you and the rest will know the world of pain. You think you can deal with us? Defeat the love of Lady Ishtar? Maybe not. But judging from your movement and the noise your companion makes, I counted around 25 of them. From their moves, around 10 will try to drop from above, 11 or so launching an all-out attack from the front. If everything fails, you send the rest serving your bodyguards. How? You little? I warn you one last time. Gazaf's gaze turned hard as steel, radiating the cold aura of a warrior. Leave, I do not want to fight. Ah, the bald man with piercings backed, visibly frightened. What is this feeling? Even facing this man, the fear of dread filled him. It was like he faced a chained beast, a mountain, only held back by the will of the one controlling it. He felt, despite being a level 2, he has absolutely no chance to win. Damn it. Attack. Drop the net. From above, a heavy iron net dropped on Gazaf, burying him. Yet, he cared not, stood motionless as it swallowed him. Huh. We got you. Not so mighty, aren't you? Snapping his finger, several more goons stepped out from the corner, carrying different weapons. Simple steel net. Gazaf brushed his hand against it. Quite low quality. Don't try to play the mighty, you come with us now. I am sure, Lady Phryne will reward us handsomely. She preferred to break the handsome ones. Even saying the name of the lady, the man shuddered, in his eyes some kind of primal fear present. Slice. What was this sound? It was like a flash, happened under a moment, but still, he can't believe what he saw in the next moment. What happened? His sword? How did it appear in his hand? As Gazaf held his metal sword, it was like the heavy metal fabric didn't even impede him to pull out the weapon from behind his back. It was just a blur, but it appeared in his hand under a moment. In the next moment, slowly, lines started to appear on the metal net, slithering apart immediately. Its parts are falling to the ground with a clatter, freeing the warrior captain from the captivity of his prison. He cut through metal. Such low-quality metal, worse than this armor. If you try to hold someone, at least use better stuff. Die. Now scram, while I allow you. My mood is awful. I don't want to kill you and the rest with a slip of a hand. And it was no exaggeration, Gazaf was well aware, people of his caliber were able to seriously injure, or even right away kill simple people if they use more force than necessary. Even in his everyday, he needed to pay attention how to handle fragile stuff. The sheer pressure the man emitted made the scrawny figure shiver, and his legs tremble, in the end, falling his bottom. Hey, get him. What it is, boss? Asked one of the goon. Attack, idiots. Wadash. Attack. The goons needed not more. A few of them already approached the warrior captain, holding heavy-looking warhammer. But strangely, Gazaf moved not, only taking his sword at one hand. Thump. And when the first bandit swung his hammer. Flash. The warrior captain was already behind them, and after a few moments. CEI. Several lines appearing on the bandit's massive body, with his companion falling on the ground, their bodies sprouting blood from several parts. The slices were not deep but sufficient enough to make them pass out under one moment. That speed, a high-level adventurer, he die. This one act was enough to make the rest of the crew hesitate, look at each other questioning how to proceed. Attacking him in this stage seemed foolish. Boss, I think. And what we will say to Franny-sama. Do you know what she does with those who fail her? Do you saw what happened with Dean? Do you want to end up like him? The bald man was nervous, scared, and at once terrified considering the chance of failure. Even thinking about the frog lady's wrath, the bandit shuddered. Not want to spend a night with her, just to come back traumatized and broken. If they did not provide her a victim who she is satisfied with, she will indulge her urges with them, ending them up in a reverse rape situation. But boss, this is just one guy. One of the fat ones asked, scratching his head, still thinking they can win. Of course, how they could think otherwise. Deep inside they were simple goons, muggers, bandits, nothing more. The only thing they were suitable for is to sack people, take their belongings. Too weak and scared to really adventure in the dungeon and reach a higher level. The woman named Franny only used such people like that. Cannon fodder, and to indulge her earthly desires. I said attack. Attack at once. He can't take all of us at once. Think about what Franny-sama will do with us if we don't bring her anyone today. They didn't need to be said twice. The brigands on his side stepped forward, grabbing their swords, warhammer, and every other type of weapons in their possession. The ones on the roof dropped below, completely surrounded Gazaf. None of them wanted to risk the wrath of Franny. None dared to go against the wishes of that massive woman. Try not to kill him, spat the leader. Lady Franny gives a great price for the handsome ones. She wants all for her own use. They didn't need to say twice. The light of greed and lust already lit in their eyes, licking their lips. The band consisting of both males and several females started to close on the target, like carnivores, intending to devour him. So be it. Gazaf took a stance, raising his palm, making inviting motion. Come, one by one, or at once. It makes little difference. Already measuring their strength by possibility sense, Gazaf was sure he would manage. Even against such numerical superiority, he doesn't even need to use martial arts to suffice. And the goons needed nothing more. They attacked, all at once, charged against him. Their leader filled with the false hope they can still win. That, their numerical superiority overwhelmed this mysterious high-level stranger. None of them was aware of their true power difference. Even the highest ranked amongst these people were level 2. How should they know this? How should they measure the hopelessness of their situation? Pang, 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 slice, 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 and all fell just as fast. Gazaf disabled them with a combo of quick cuts. Even without using martial arts, his movements blurred, easily defeating all 20 under a few moments. Die. What happened? Once more, Gazaf passed them under a blink of an eye, and all froze for a moment, just to fall forward with cuts on their bodies sprouting blood. Impossible, this. Bald now was terrified. Urine started to gather on the ground as it scrolled off on his legs, drenching his badly made pants. A few of his remained bodyguards were on to run away, horrified how this man took care of all their companions. I give you this one chance. Gazaf raised his sword, visibly pissed off by the superfluous attempts of these people. Tend their wounds and leave me alone. Or next time I will not use the blunt edge of my blade. Damn you. You think you can do whatever you want. Lady Franny will. I do what's necessary. And Gazaf stated this firm, making the man right away get red eye. His whole head basically swollen from the anger, turning red. You come here, thinking you can do whatever you want. If Lady Ishtar hears about this, you are over. You hear me. You are screwed. Then, in that case, I need to kill you, no? Ugh. The man stepped back, trembling even more than before, hearing the declaration which was firm like the cold iron of this stranger's weapon. Please, spare me. I do anything. Gazaf answered not, only walking towards the man, menacing, his steps steady and firm, making him grow even more monstrous in the eyes of the few remained. He wasted too much time here, too much effort for these lowly bandits to spend any more time or stamina here. Hey, you can't just. and the goon leader and his several remained lackeys trembled as he reached closer with each step, too paralyzed and frozen to do anything. Unfortunately, they knew too much the consequences of failure. They either fall here or fell in the clutches of that terrible woman. All of them knew which was worse. Ack. But in the next moment, a strange stupor descended on the men around, starting to droll, their arm lowered. Their eyes filled with lust and love, even going that far too droll. What is this? Another? Gazaf felt the same, recognizing it as some kind of charm spell or more like sweet scent. This fragrance. Iron will. Resist poison. Jumping back immediately, his muscles stiffened, increasing his poison resistance. His mind raised the mental fort immediately. He encountered with such cheap tactic before. He will not fall for mental manipulation that easily. Once more, he raised his sword, aiming against the shadow where he felt a similar presence. Come out. Enough with your games. His sword raised against the shadow. A robed figure stepped out from the dark corner. Their whole head covered by a hood, only the lower face visible. A lower face which definitely too feminine to belong to a man, perfectly shaped and cut. Please forgive, I just thought you need some help. The tone left the face of the appeared robed woman was melodic, even straining Gazaf's mental fortress, continually banging on the door to take control. Yet, he was too trained to fall for such a cheap trick. He resisted it immediately. As you see, I managed. He lowered his sword slightly, still ready to strike. He can't help but feel the same aura from her like from Hestia and Toth, and that strange drunkard woman in the Hostess of Fertility. I saw it. The cloaked one nodded, offering a gentle smile. The most beautiful smile Gazaf ever saw. You did well against them, standing your ground against such force. Not many could do it this easy. I do my best, and Gazaf just hummed, still watching the hooded woman vary. May I know what are you doing here, my lady? Oh, just taking a walk, she chuckled mischievous. I like to tease my colleagues from time to time, and walking around here seems to earn that result. I see. Gazaf trusted not this woman. His mind screamed that she wants to control him, that she only wants to use him. Yet, at the same time, his less reasonable side urged him to fall on his knee and admit his love. It was honestly a confusing feeling. Only his use of martial arts and his knowledge about charm magic and airborne poisons protected him from falling in this trap right away. As you can see, we are no longer in a dangerous situation. I see it well. Walking near the goon leader, she whispered something in his ear, and the man fell asleep, on his face an orgasmic expression, drolling all along. This charm was quite strong. It proved how easily this person disabled people several sizes bigger than herself. Gazaf even needed to use a mental strengthening martial art to altogether bypass the effects. If there is nothing more, I bid you farewell, my lady. Be careful, these streets full of such people. The woman remained silent for long moments, the warrior captain passing her, seemingly unaffected by her charms. This left her stunned and at once flabbergasted, somewhat angry, but even more curious than before. Aren't you want to escort me? I am sure you will manage. Gazaf stopped for a moment, but turned not his face, not against this person. A person who can use such strong charm surely can handle herself. You need not my help. I see. After a moment of surprise, her gentle smile returned. But even so, I require your help. In such dangerous streets, two can proceed with more certainty than alone. Why come here alone then? The question made the woman smile even brighter under her hood, feeling some defiance, some challenge from the direction of the man. I spotted something interesting, something bright, and followed. I can't help it. It is in my nature. I was drawn to it like a moth to the flame. In that case, I will escort you, my lady. But don't try anything funny, or I will be forced to protect myself. Gazaf usually was not rude with people. With women, even less so. But a person who tries to control him moreover does so with such strong spell, or poison, was not an everyday individual. Such a person only deserves suspicion and distrust from his part, or at least, until they prove themselves reliable. Don't worry, promise. She made an X sign over her heart, swearing to her life, and Gazaf reluctantly, but nodded, escorting the woman out from the dangerous part of the city. Shall we go then? And thus, the two headed out from the district. Their way was strangely smooth all along. neither of them speaking a word, just proceeding with silence. Everywhere they went, lustful gazes followed them, all aimed against the robed woman. And after walking a while, the duo finally reached the Tower of Babel, towering above the whole city with all its majestic pomp. "We are here," said the woman, beaming while looking up, adoring the tower that was her home. "You live in the tower?" And Gazaf inquired with a raised brow. He heard from Misha the upper floors housed shops, meeting rooms, rich gods, and people who could afford to live here. But he never dared to imagine a denizen with such wealth wanders in the slums just like that. "Ah, yes," she chuckled. "I live here." Turning to Gazaf, she offered her most honest grin. "Can I invite you to my apartment? I am sure we can find something in exchange for your service. Unfortunately, I still have things to attend today. Maybe next time." "Yeah." She said so, somewhat disappointed, still trying to realize why her charms worked not on this man. Continuously, her brain rambled on the possible explanations. "May I know your name at least? Just to know who I thank his valiant effort." "You can call me Zeph." Gazaf smiled, making the hooded person beam back for a moment. "And your name, my lady?" "You can call me." She left a small pause, taking another breath. "Freya." And thus, the warrior captain and the goddess of love meet the first time, parted ways the first time. The warrior captain heading down in the endless chasm called dungeon, the goddess up, in her heavenly residence, taking a seat on her throne, just to watch the mortals below with her all-discerning eyes. Like always, searching bright souls all around the city, urging to fill her ever-rising urge to collect, use, and store. Wondering who really the mysterious figure was. Who was the man who managed to accomplish the thing no other mortal or god before, resisting her charms and deny her? For many, she may even consider this a blasphemy. But this soul was too special to consider it that way. Moreover, it raised her urge to hunt once more. I wonder. She bit her thumb, already excited, finding someone else who she can peer her gaze from above. Naturally, it was not the last time they meet. Neither the last time Gazaf crossed path with the Ishtar Familia and their goons. What the future brings, no one knows. Read further and find out yourself. Chapter 8. The Fall of the Warrior Captain. Wondering, a pair of silver orbs gazed in the far, searching for any point of interest down below. So many people and the children are all different, with all different colors. Yet, despite all the colors her eyes witnessed, she found them all too dull. All too similar. She had seen them all, knew them all combinations, all shapes and intensity. No surprise anymore. They were all blurring together into a messy, washed-out patch of chaos. She had witnessed it all. If only, there would be more people with exceptional souls. If you asked this person why exactly she spent her time sitting in her chair, doing it day after day, scanning the people who were passing under the Tower of Babel relentlessly, watching the people of Oreo conducting their usual business every single day. If one asked her why she did this, the answer would be mildly surprising. She did so only to find exceptional souls, souls worthy of her attention and love. Like other goddesses and gods, Freya was also a collector spirit, seeking souls, exceptional children she could claim, people to invite to her heavenly domain after their death. Day after day, she did this, never giving up her hope to find such curious souls. There were days when she was unlucky, and no such soul appeared before her unusual eyes, only witnessing small, weak, and insignificant souls. People not even worth to brush them out from her net. Souls with no potential to grow or with unsatisfying color. Gray people with little to no meaning, shine, or goal. Yet, rarely, she was lucky. Her eyes were able to spot real rarities. People that really worth her attention and time. People with great potential and overflowing potency of the essence. Yes, Freya was like the wind. She was like a hunter that sought challenge, endlessly seeking something even she didn't know, searching endlessly. Yet, she herself knew not when, what, or where she would find that curious thing. She just followed her instinctive hunt, collecting rarities from all around. Doing so until the fated day would come along with her final hunt, anchoring her down forever. When will that day finally come? She asked herself often, pondering for long hours. These eyes of hers were a great help in her eternal hunt, allowing her to see the soul of people, separating the wheat from the chaff, finding her familia exceptional, exciting, colorful people. Members she could share her love with. Yet, it was all for an even higher goal, to quench her endless thirst. Satiated until she found that unknown thing, which could finally quiet the winds of her passion and need. Finally, settle her forever. Seeking to find what she asked in Tenkai brought no results. The people up there were boring, stagnating, dull-colored. She tried and got bored by all of them. A place filled with discarded toys, old men, and women. No challenge remained there. All the same, no variance. The goddess despised boring places like that. Thus, she left it behind, like a bad memory, wishing not to return until the fated day. But this place, the world of the children, it is different. A new world opened when she arrived. The denizens of Gakkai she only watched from far above were colorful, always changing, and often surprising. She felt she was a step closer to reach her unknown goal, to find it, end her endless search, finally satiate her endless thirst, her endless hunger, sheath the fires of her passion. She finally felt progress. She finally felt she had made a step forward to true happiness. A little bit more, and she would eventually find the item she thirsted for so long. I can't wait, she licked her luscious lips, her eyes sparkling with the light of want. Unfortunately, or not, gods were forbidden to use their heavenly powers in the mortal realm. Or, better said, they couldn't use it without explicit permission. Anyone who did so, even for the sake of protecting their own mortal shell or the members of their familia, was banished back to heavens. The contract forced them to go back. Only a few exceptions existed, but it was better like this. Using her arcanum to get what she wanted would be boring anyway. It was just no challenge. Freya was a hunter who sought a challenge. Not answering that trial would be a sin. Her special eyes and charm, which already almost defied this rule, guaranteed her more than enough edge. It was almost cheating. It was enough to look at a person, and she clearly saw their essence overflowing, like an aura, different, colorful, and budging out from their mortal shell. But what's it worth? She asked herself often, sighing disappointed. No matter this ability or the skill to charm even the gods with just a glance, it made things too easy, too boring. For a hunter like her, possessing this ability was almost like a curse. Unfortunately, most of the time, this ability only brought disappointment. No matter how many souls she claimed, no matter how many times she succeeded, she only found frustration and boredom in the long run. Something lacked. Yes, something she missed. A thing she hadn't felt for a long time. That something that finally could satiate her carving. Huh. The goddess sighed with a wandering gaze, patting her index on the arm of her chair. Her act earned the attention of the second person standing in the room, turning his head towards her. Is something wrong, Lady Freya? The man that stood not far from her was tall and muscular, each cubic centimeter of his body steadily built, filled to the brim with muscle. Each scar on his stone-like skin spoke about countless years of combat experience. Under his rust-colored hair, two boar ears peaked, his face mirroring an iron will, a strict expression. Otter, have you ever felt you lack something? Only when I am not by your side, Lady Freya. Only then. The man's answer was firm, coming from his heart directly. I see. Her tone was serene, but deep inside, a kind of sad feeling bubbled up in her gullet. It was almost like she found the answer disappointing, lacking something. What am I to you, Otter? You are the wind, carrying us forward, ever-changing, gracing the people with your presence before moving on, filling them with purpose and joy in your short stay. As always, Otter hesitated not with his answer. For most, it may sound like he knew the response from his heart, but for Freya, it was all said like he had just learned these words, then barfed them back once asked. It is kinda sad. Unfortunately, all her children became like this after a while, too enamored by her beauty, by her presence to have any other opinion. Only quoting back basic things, not their own thoughts. Their souls slowly, but surely started to dim. Their original shining faded, turning to dim averageness. She had become bored by them. Why is this happening? Why every one of them is becoming like that? I don't understand. Is something wrong with me? Is it I who am doing something wrong? She asked these questions again and again, all since coming down here, and it first happened. First, the gods of Tenkai, now even the children from Gakkai, She had no idea what to do. She didn't know why, but she eroded everyone she connected with. Is it a curse of the beauty bestowed to me? In recent times, she asked this question more and more often, finding her beauty more of a burden than a gift. All the time, she recruited exceptional children, nurturing them to perfection till they reached the peak of their shine. Yet, sooner or later, all of them became like that. She would just get bored with them. They were simply losing their shine. As the goddess of love and passion, her love was still here. She loved all of them equally. Only the desire, the fire was lacking. It all started to grow fainter and fainter each day. She just couldn't get excited by them anymore, like an overused toy, only good to showcase. A skeleton in her closet. Was something wrong with her? What did she do wrong? Why was she like this? I still love them, but I can't help but seek new ones. Almost like an addict, she wanted to collect them all. All unique souls must belong to her. But to gain them without any challenge, the thrill of the hunt? It was just so boring. She felt like that. She felt like that for such a long time. Despite her struggle to find the real thing, she couldn't help but pick up every morsel that piqued her interest. I can't even remember when it started. She felt she was losing her touch with reality, even going as far as to mock and openly challenge others, waiting for their reaction, disregarding the safety of her familia and children. She felt like that. She acted like that. Until today, that man, that soul, that defiance, that will. Her mouth almost watered, just remembering that blade pointed against her face, that defying light in the man's eyes. That will that defied even her godly charm. Honestly, it made her wet and even more aroused. It was almost like, is he the one? A challenge. Otter, did you ever feel challenged? Defied by someone? Otter pondered for a moment, his boar ears moving slightly, trying to recall a memory. No, Lady Freya. For a long time, my strength found no equal. I lacked the worthy challengers in this city. Of course, there was that other one, the only one that had managed to defeat him. But she was no longer here. Here, he was without par, the most stalwart adventurer of all Orio. How does it feel? I live only to serve you. Anyone who dares to challenge. I asked, how does it feel living without challenge? Don't you feel empty? Freya cut him short, glancing the only level 7 in the city. Surely, you must feel something lacking. Without motivation to grow further, you must be bored. Freya stood up, walking to the tall man and hugging his neck, staring deep in his dark eyes. You can tell me. Otter gulped for a moment, shuddering as he felt the weight of the question, sniffing the enamoring scent of the goddess that hung from his sturdy neck. Seeing those silver orbs, reflecting a slight violet hue. He just couldn't lie to her. She was his everything, his true goal, my goddess. He mumbled deep inside his soul, feeling once more purposeful. In that exact moment, even his slowly dimming soul flared, making Freya lick her lips lustful. If I can be honest, it feels a little bit empty. Yes, Lady Freya, since that other person, I have found no equal who has encouraged me to push my limits. I see. I understand you, my brave warrior. I completely understand how you feel. She kissed his cheek, making the man blush slightly, a warm feeling filling his whole body. She just smiled, swaying her way back to her seat, and Otter just watched her elegant form for a moment, even going as far as to raise his brow. Is something wrong, Lady Freya? Why do you think there is something wrong, dear Otter? Freya took her seat elegantly, glancing at her first warrior. Otter bit his tongue, turning his face forward. Please disregard what I said. Just this morning, I was challenged. Freya smiled, finally revealing what she pondered on, looking out the sizable window, an enamored expression settling on her face, a small chuckle leaving her shapely lips. Huh. Otter's eyes widened immediately, just for a moment, as in the next, the man returned to his stoic self, forcing his always present stoic calm on his ego. Whoever that person was, the person who challenged you, I will crush them mercilessly. Whoever defies you deserves such treatment. The man's words may sound calm and collected, almost too stoic as he bowed. But Freya knew too well. She felt too well what her most excellent puppet thought and felt. Deep inside, Otter was a raging boar. Yes, she even recognized the man clenching his fist once. Is that so? She just chuckled, seeing his devotion. Yes. Freya said nothing for long moments, just watched the people passing the streets, watching the averageness of their souls. It was so strange, his soul. The woman with the spectacular silver eyes bit her lower lip luscious, her perfectly chiseled face offering a strange, aroused expression. I want it so bad. So unique. So alien. I want this hunt to myself. Freya, the goddess of love, beauty, war, sex, and many more things, was slightly disturbed. She almost felt like a blushing damsel in distress. Grabbing her face, a love-filled expression curled on her face. It almost looked like the face of an aroused prostitute. It was a perverted expression. For a long time, I didn't feel this. Why now? All happened under her usual trip in the territory of Ishtar, doing her small prank on her fellow goddess. 1 or 2 swayed children worth nothing in her eyes, but it easily made Ishtar tick. Yes, one of Freya's favorite hobby was to imbalance the usually confident people, watching as the all-knowing ones acted out of character. Prank them to entertain herself. In Ishtar's case, it was straightforward, almost boringly. Yet, the Mesopotamian goddess's reaction was almost always amusing. Instead of acting all calm and seductive, this made Freya's counterpart from that other pantheon act unreasonable, shout, and disregard everything, even going as far as to endanger the safety of her own members, almost like a wild, injured animal, a mother lion who couldn't mate for a long time. Ah yes, people are usually so boring. But that person, he raised his sword against me, defied my charm and will, even going that far to leave me in that alley, alone and vulnerable, threatening me after using my charm on him. Freya heard the grinding teeth of Otter. The man barely managed to contain himself. He was usually always collected, caring not at all what others said or thought about him. But if it was his goddess that was mocked or threatened, his loyalty was unquestionable. It almost edged zeal and fanaticism. Please give the order, and I will hunt that person down. Otter bowed slightly, every muscle of his rock-hard body itching to get his hand on that person, his eyes almost glowing in anticipation. It was almost like he pleaded for the chance. It is not important. I was never in any danger, Otter. It was just surprising. Since a long time, I never felt such excitement. She stood up, grabbing her arms, her perfectly cut lips almost bleeding as she bit them in excitement. I have never felt such defiance. His soul was so complex. So many things mixed in it. So strong. Layered. Yes, that's the best word for it. A person with an unshakable will. A person with many scars. A person filled with mystery and defiance. A man with endless potential. Even as a goddess with a unique ability, under such a short meeting, she was only able to see a glimpse of what that soul could offer. A mere glance from the first layer, a glimpse from the endless potential that soul hid. Still chained, waiting to be freed. Not even close to truly understanding what lies underneath. Always moving and changing, layer after layer, like a shell inside of a shell. If she wanted to compare it to something, she would compare that soul to a matryoshka. Yes, some gods may call it like that. A strange word, coming from a different culture. Chuckling, she could only compare it to that thing. But it was strange. It was like I glimpsed something odd for a moment. Almost like a scar, hidden deep. A dark presence ever spreading, only held back by an iron will. That feeling, almost like the stench of death. I need to know what it is. The anticipation is killing me. Your orders, Lady Freya? Otter asked, still bowing slightly. We will observe what will happen. In any case, send a member to the guild. Investigate if anything interesting happened recently. As you wish. With that, Otter left the room, leaving the goddess alone. So exciting. A worthy prey on the horizon. She had already spotted a boy with a transparent soul. But who said she couldn't pursue 2 preys at once? Yes, it would be an exciting hunt. This will be a great harvest. 2 more heads would join her collection soon. But she wouldn't rush this time. No, she would savor the hunt. Ripen those souls before harvesting them and taking them as her own. It would be glorious. It would be, well, hopefully, it would satiate her hunger and the void she had been feeling for such a long time. Scene change. Dungeon. Gazaf shuddered for a moment, almost like he felt a presence spying after him. KRGHHH. Humph. But it only took a shrug, and the warrior captain dismissed such thought. cutting down the black monster stood in his way. "Kai, compared to the rest, the black one's quite sturdy," he commented, continuing his fight. As he headed deeper and deeper, more and more monsters he encountered. While the first few floors filled with weaker, goblin, and kobold-like creatures, the deeper he went, the stronger enemies he faced. Their forms varied greatly, from huge bunny-like creatures to huge ants, entirely to living shadows, to huge poisonous moths. He encountered all kinds of animals down there. He can barely count how many he killed under his stay here. Adventuring more than a day, even Gazaf lost track where he is in reality. The man started to lose his sense of time deep underground, fighting, proceeding, and collecting stones continuously. It surely took the tool one's sanity and patience. One thing was sure. He long ago passed the boundary his advisor allowed him to advance, using several slopes to proceed deeper. He had no map to follow anymore, or even recognize the environment from Misha's description. This was an unknown territory. Slash, slash, slash. It only took several more flashes, and several monsters died again, falling on the ground lifeless. It is strange. On my first day, when the monsters breathed their last breath, they exploded into a fine dust, leaving only that strange crystal and possibly monster parts. But now, their body remains. Indeed, he came to a strange discovery right after killing his first monster of the day. Killed by simple weapon, the body of the monsters remained intact. He himself had to carve out the stones. Only after removing the core, the beast turned into dust. Meanwhile, back then, killing them with razor edge, they exploded right away, leaving only the loot. Just as Misha explained. Taking out his knife, Gazaf used it to remove the stones from the monster carcass, taking his time to mine out the precious stones from their body. No monster born from the walls this time. "It takes too much time," he spat, seeing how messy his leather gloves became after gutting several monsters. Even after using a knife, it is messy. He became much more proficient when he first tried. Still, his technique to recover the stones from monsters far from perfect. He needs much more practice to be satisfied with his speed. It took several minutes to finish this operation, gut all the monsters around. If he stops every time to gut the creatures and collect the stones, he will never reach deeper than a few floors at once. If we consider the fact that each floor was bigger and more complex as he headed downward, he will never reach the bottom, and possibly never find out what lies in the deepest level. Albeit Gazaf's primary goal was not to reach the bottom, he was nonetheless curious what was in the deepest layer. Who knows, he may even find a portal home. According to stories of old, the ancient ruins and dungeons left behind by the evil deities contained something alike teleportation circles. Considering this, if Gazaf finds a way home, he had to worry one less thing about and can concentrate on his search here. According to Misha, no one reached the deepest floor and conquered the dungeon completely. The deepest point they reached was around the 59th. Considering the man's speed today and the fact, each floor more complex and more complicated than the previous. It will take a long time to reach the 59th floor. Indeed, with his current supplies and equipment, it was impossible to really reach deeper without risking dehydration, starvation, and death. Even with the Medallion of Immortality, he needed food and drink. He'd rather not risk trying to eat the monsters or drink the water found down there. In a hostile environment, poisoning or unknown illness may prove fatal. Yes, I need more supplies for that. Maybe a whole caravan, with more people to look out for sudden monster attack. Spending around a day in this place, exploring and fighting, Gazaf recognized. If he wants to go deeper and explore, he needs a team, maybe a whole group. Alone, he will never reach the bottom. Neither has he had the necessary knowledge about this place to safely navigate and not get lost, like in his current case. That's, of course, not even considering the supplies needed to do that. He only spent a day delving the dungeon, and he felt he barely made progress. Even with maps, just stumbled around in the floors before finding a ramp or stairs that led deeper. Fortunately, following other adventurers helped me navigate. Of course, it was not always the case. Sometimes the adventurers just changed direction, occupying a larger room where they waited for monsters to spawn, then kill them for loot. He spoke a few words with a few of them. Like usual, some of these folks were decent, sharing a little information about this place, telling him they only proceed to a particular floor, taking things easy, farming stones and items to exchange them for cash, or forge new weapons and armor using these goods, rarely taking the risk to proceed deeper until they feel ready or grow strong enough to proceed further. Just like Misha explained, the ones surviving some time here are not reckless, taking their time to grow stronger and get to know the floors. According to her, most deaths occur amidst the rank of beginners. Despite the best effort of the advisors and the guild, rookies adventure alone or reckless tend to die early. Bearing such characteristics, very few survive. No monsters around this time. Better eat something while I can. Sitting down, he pulled out the military ration from the backpack he bought before coming down, eating the dried meat. Just like in the battlefield, he chuckled, remembering his first charge. I was reckless. I barely survived. Often, there was no time to prepare a proper meal on the battlefield. In battle, to regain energy, soldiers stuffed down the prepared, dried rations in the small pause between the charges, then drowned them down with water or watered coffee grounds, which left behind the awful taste, but kept the soldiers going and awake. I remember, officers often distributed raw coffee bean, giving us the command to gnaw on it, keep us going under long battles. It tasted awful, but kept the soldiers awake and forced out every inch of energy from their body under battle. Of course, after that, most of us were exhausted and almost useless in battle. Eating his meal, he pondered. If his internal clock was right, he spent around a day here, collecting numerous stones and several monster parts. Most adventurers entered the dungeon under their first time would be overjoyed proceeding this far, managing to conquer multiple floors and proceed unhindered, collecting as many stones and items Gazaf did just now. As for him, the warrior captain was not proud of himself. More of that, was somewhat ashamed he can only continue this far, to a floor which gave no challenge, and still wasted a whole day to reach this point. Well, if getting lost and stumbling in a monster nest each time when I arrive at a new floor counts impressive, then my progress indeed impressive. He chuckled sour, recalling his day. Honestly, he didn't expect much from this day. Only visiting that shop Mia spoke about, starting the investigation to find where he landed, then collecting some stones to ensure his financial background. Most would simply call a day after doing all of this, as they would feel they had done enough. But not Gazaf. He felt unsatisfied. More so after all those things he heard from that small girl, Toph. He was immensely frustrated, not knowing where he is, how he got there, how he will get home. Yet, delving this place helps somewhat. These monsters are good punching bags. I feel myself better slicing them up. One thing he can bear with, being wholly lost. It is certainly scary, utterly mind-boggling for most. But not for him who got used to such situations. What scared him the thought he can never return home, letting down his comrades and king. It is scary, though. Not even a mention of the Re-Estai's kingdom or any other nation nearby. Not even any point of interest that could position me. And that girl. He felt the same presence from her. The same as Hestia, Thoth, that dubious figure he saw in the inn, and the woman he encountered and escorted just this morning. All felt like some kind of faith-based caster and something more. It was an odd presence his instinct just can't place. This was a very odd place. Almost like he was thrown into an entirely different world. But that's impossible, right? That granny told a few absurd stories about such things, other worlds, and the gods called players who came from there. But other worlds to exist? Maybe in fiction. But for real? It felt unlikely. Either she had an absurd amount of imagination, or she heard those stories while adventured. Yes, Granny Rigret was always like that. An energetic adventurer, an easygoing granny who liked to speak nonsense and tell absurd stories, most of the time when she was drunk. Magic is one thing, but other worlds? Hardly believable. Still, if the possibility exists, I can't just discard it amongst the options. It may be the only way to return home. Either way, he was still new to this place. Maybe he was a continent away, maybe two. He will find out eventually. But now, he needs to concentrate on his self-imposed mission to find the kingdom's treasures, and above all, to find a way to improve his strength and techniques. Yes, it would be shameful, defeated once again. After all, it worth nothing if he returns home, and Ains once more takes care of him, just like that. He needs to protect his people, grow stronger, and find a way to counter that foul magic. This task may prove to be even harder than finding the royal treasures and returning home. He was in a bottleneck. Gazaf knows it too well. He felt it. Without items, edging between the realm of heroes and simple people, he will never reach his goal if he can improve. Pondering on all of this, he finished his meal. Let's go back. I still need to. Tremble, tremble, tremble. The whole room suddenly started to shake, like the entire thing would collapse under any moment. What now? He roared angrily. He really had enough from the antics of this place. It was like the whole dungeon working against him, only waiting to eat his meal before throwing shit at him once more. Boom, 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 boom. Several explosions followed, and the two exits of the room collapsed. What now? With the ways sealed, he was utterly trapped. Shit. How do I get out now? He should start digging, not wasting time for questions. He may never get an answer. He knows that well. Fine. Let's start digging. Oh, but it was too late. It would be better not asking any question, as in the next moment, like a sign of hate from the whole dungeon, and whatever deity watched him. The whole room started to tremble even more intensely. The entire floor underneath his feet began to fracture and broke, leaving the warrior captain little no time to react. Oh, the hell with this place. The floor collapsed utterly, pushing the warrior captain into the depths. One thing was sure, his dislike of the place ever grown with each moment. Damn it. Scene change, 10th floor. The 10th floor, quite an unfriendly place. Filled withered white trees, environmental stumbling blocks, and enemies. Only an adventurer with at least a status B can handle. It was indeed a bad place to be. Combining all of this with the constant white fog reminiscent of morning mist that limited visibility, this place was indeed a hard place to crack, for low-level adventurers at least. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The adventurer ran, taking her steps hastily, as fast as her legs could carry her. On her face, a frightful expression pictured her horror. Arm crushed, leg dislocated. In truth, she more of dragged herself forward than really ran. How it come to this? How did this happen? One moment we were fine. The second, we are overwhelmed, she muttered, her face still covered by her comrade's blood, biting her lips painfully. Blood sprouted from her mouth. This is not natural. That many monsters couldn't spawn at once. Yes, someone must draw them there. She theorized painful, trying to numb the pain throbbed through her body with each hasty steps, trying to drag herself one step further. Even with the all-covering fog, she seemed to know the way, merely dragging herself past the numerous monsters. Her presence, of course, went not without recognition. Like hungry sharks to the injured, bleeding prey, the obese orcs stood up, tearing out the dead woods, using them as primitive weapons. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Until now, she tolerated pain, running through a whole floor, somehow managing to survive. But soon, her body reached the breaking point, her leg went limp, and she collapsed on the ground. Thud. I need to. Tears welled up in her eyes, remembering her comrades, remembering how the last of them remained behind, how her comrade's sacrifice was useless facing such a foe. Glancing back, she realized their sacrifice to halt the closing enemy was all but useless. Why, she mumbled, her strength starting to leave her frail body. She felt useless, just a simple supporter, cannot possibly good for anything. Neither can warn her friends for the closing danger, nor could she help them. She was useless. Trash, better left to die. She remembered what that other adventurer said some time ago, and her friends foolishly protected her. What? Stupid. I should have died then. Despite her best attempts, she remained weak. No matter how hard she trained, how hard she tried, the only role she can fill is the supporter one. She doesn't even know why her god accepted her into his familia. Yes. Only thinking for a moment, she now remembers. She was accepted because her friend made that clause when he joined. The same friend who was strong, the same friend, died down there. The same friend protected her but in her escape. Her stupid head always forgetting this fact. She hated herself for this. Trying to drag herself forward. Her power ultimately left her. Even so, she tried. Using her last ounce of strength to pull herself further, she tried. All useless. All useless. Why you had to do? Why me? Why save me? Her tears poured ever intensely, knowing it was all for naught. You should have left me. Her arm crushed. She can't possibly get up and ran away with her overstrained legs. Weapon and collected goods lost. She will die, here and now. The girl barely hung on her consciousness. Her eyelids were heavy. Gugga. Squall. 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 She already heard the trampling steps of the orcs, gathering around her, the scratching sounds of monkeys, the subtle winged strokes of the bad bats, and many similar creatures inhabited this floor. Indeed, she managed to lure quite a few of them in her attempt to escape. Maybe it was the best she dies here. At least, she will not bring them to the upper levels, endangering the lives of others. Though it was too short. Being in her teens, barely 15, her life was indeed short. She didn't even kiss anyone, not speaking being together with someone. Damn it. She didn't even admit the fact she likes him. I want to live, she mumbled, forcing herself to her legs. Her knees trembled, barely able to hold her weight. I want to live. Pulling out her spare dagger, she held it before her with her only remained usable arm. The monsters all around just watched, like it would be some grotesque game, watching her struggle. I want to live. No one around to help. The girl was utterly alone in this otherworldly fog. I will survive. The orcs grinned, and the beasts circled around her, almost like they awaited to make her first step, a cruel light visible in their eyes. Then, she made her step, giving her all, and just like that, stab. But her knife was useless. The orc's skin was too thick to penetrate. Useless, she mumbled, chuckling hopeless. Metal weapons usually were able to penetrate orc skin, but with her current strength, it was not even enough to scratch the obese creature. It only watched her salivating. Thud. The orc didn't even bother to use his stump of wood. The creature used its obese fist to slap her, crashing her to the nearby tree. Ugh! Multiple of her bones fractured and broke right away. She can't even move anymore. I suppose it is the end. Infinite sadness welled up in her gullet, filling her eyes with the endless flow of tears. She was barely alive. Using her last strength, she opened her swelled-up eyes once more, only able to see the towering figure step before her. This was the end of her road, dying in the depths of the dungeon. Alone, most likely her carcass never seeing the light again, eaten by the monsters of the place. Or, it's supposed to happen this way, as in the next moment. Crack. The ceiling above broke. Something, or preferably someone, started to fall. If he didn't know it until now he was sure this place hated him, doing so with passion. Yes, it cannot be otherwise. Else, the ground would not just collapse under his feet randomly. Shit. As he was on to leave the room, the ground suddenly collapsed under his feet, giving him no space or anything to grab on before the depths swallowed him. When I thought this day couldn't be any worse. Unfortunately for him, Gazaf was no mage. That meant he couldn't even slow his fall amidst reasonable borders, not speaking about using fly spell. Yes, as he heard, it was a tier 3 spell. Only the most talented can use it. And being he was no talented at all in the art of magic, most would say he was in deep trouble. Even if not that, it was too late anyway. The warrior captain was athletic, that was no question. He could use martial arts to kick the air and accelerate himself higher. That was the case, of course, if he had at least a second to prepare. That was the case if he had a place to maneuver, and not the whole damn room collapsing on him, with even the ceiling falling after him to crush him to death. Unfortunately, he completely caught off guard. It was too late when he regained his bearing, too far to do such maneuvers. He fell. His only hope was to find something to grab on his way down. Hoping, not infinite abyss awaits him underneath. Damn. Pulling out his sword, he sliced the sizable fragments in the air, avoiding to get underneath them, and possibly crushed to death. Even if he survives the fall, those stones could crush him after he lands. He needed to get rid of them as soon as he can, or at least get above the big ones. There is supposed to be a floor down below. Hopefully, this crevice not too deep. With quick thinking, Gazaf concluded. Even with martial arts, there was a limit to how high one can fall and not break their legs or die right away. Gazaf's only hope was his fall will be not long, and he can dampen the fall with positioning. Trying to regain his control in the air, The warrior captain used martial arts to restore his balance and sense of direction. Sense direction, aerial maneuvers. His body glowed twice in succession, like a gyroscope, positioning himself into the most beneficial direction, allowing Gazaf to fall gracefully. Inspect the place underneath him, doing aerial maneuvers all along, slicing up to fragments any possible dangers, using many falling stones as stepping stones, trying to get above the majority of the rubble. Fog? How odd. Stepping on a bigger falling piece, he watched the fog he speed through. Fog awaited him down below, almost impenetrable for normal humans. But he was trained. He had techniques which can penetrate this kind of natural obstacle. Enhanced vision. A stinging strain hit his eyes right away, but at the same moment, his vision sharpened beyond human measure. Gazaf's gaze easily penetrated the fog of this volume. So many monsters gathered around something. With this speed, he calculated he had a few more seconds before landing. He needed to be prepared. The first falling pieces already started to bombard those down below, causing a great commotion amongst the monsters. Many of them crushed to death right away, burying them under the rubble. Let's prepare. Gazaf closed his eyes, doing a fast breathing exercise that stiffened his muscles and prepared his body. Raising his already battered metal sword, the man lifted it before himself. The weapon not made for slicing rock or any hard material. Only thanks to his masterful technique it remained in one piece until now. Cat's grace. He hated to use this martial art. Not because of its limited use, but because fighting in the air or dropping down on the enemy was not his preferred way of fighting. Such methods better fit for ruffians or thieves or assassins, stealthy fighters. Gazaf was no such man, but if the chance offered itself, he would be a fool not to use his position the best he can and get rid of many monsters with an aerial attack. Accelerate. His martial art activated once more, speeding the man towards the group of obese creatures gathered under him, and under a moment, he flashed through the air. Oh! Bam! 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 With sword out, like the hammer of a wrathful god, he spun in the air, and like a small vortex, at the moment he landed, Gazaf sliced the fat beings, transforming their ghastly body into sliced ham in a 2-meter radius. All around rubble falling, crushing the ones dared to approach. Thud. Bam. 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 It was chaos. Amidst the still falling pieces of the upper floor, the orcs and every other creature watched horrified as their fellows fell, at least half of their body missing. Like a grinder, Gazaf's spinning entrance cut the closes once to mincemeat, the pressure pushing their remains farther. Well, it seems, this was effective enough. He mumbled, maneuvering through the monsters, using their confusion to his advantage. With each step, many monsters fall. He gave them no chance to regain their bearing. Come on. Gazaf's gaze was rock hard, a threatening presence emerging from his body, causing even more chaos. The creatures backed, looking terrified, for long moments, their confusion and fear freezing them. Oh, this opening only opened a short window, an opportunity Gazaf used the best. Bam! And as the last stone fell, and when the dust settled, Gazaf stood triumph on a pile of monster corpses, like a champion who conquered numerous foes, awaiting further challengers. Oh, and there were many before him, all around the area filled with the monsters drawn by something. This is so troublesome. Gazaf said so, immensely frustrated by the trouble he found himself, again. He much more preferred if his killing intent would scare these beings away and not draw them out. Well, but this is what life gave, and as his mother always said, live with what's given, Gazaf. Do not be greedy. Afterwards sending Gazaf to help his father. She was a strict but fair woman. Dismissing the momentary nostalgic though, the warrior captain once more raised his battered sword, a confident smirk on his face. Bring it, Gua. And thus, fearless, the warrior captain charged forward, facing a small army of monsters once again. Under all of this, the girl remained silent. Balancing between consciousness and darkness, she only saw a blur, heard many loud noises, unknown to her what's happening around. Somehow, miraculously, all the stones avoided her broken body. Waiting for the final strike, what despite her expectation, refused to connect and ruin her body further, she pondered. What's happening? Is someone came to my rescue? Why is the sky thundering? What her still intact ears picked up was many crashes barely avoiding her frail body, and the sound of an immense battle conducted only a few meters away from her, a man taunting the monsters around. Flesh and blood sprouted, tendon and bones torn, and the stench of the dead creatures piled around. It was unbearable, almost the worst stench she ever smelt in her life, her vomit still lingering in her throat. From all of the information around, what she managed to filter was the fact she still felt her whole body throb in pain, which meant she is still alive. Barely, but alive. Whatever happened, whoever arrived at her rescue must be fighting a hell of a battle against a hell of numerical superiority. It must be a whole group. She thought so, expecting a whole group of people once she wakes up. After all, no man or woman alone can face such numerical superiority, right? That's impossible. Dragging herself through a whole floor no less, she basically alerted every monster around, drawing many enemies from this and the lower floor in her escape. Do your best. Please, she muttered, with closed eyes. Her tears flowed. Too scared to die, but too weak to remain conscious. Minutes passed, maybe hours, the girl knows it not. But suddenly, the death groan of the last enemy echoed through the misty floor. Gwa! A huge ape-like being fell, Gazaf's broken sword cutting it through like a hot knife through the butter. Huh. This was the last, the warrior captain sighed, sensing no enemy around. The remained fled. Their instinctive fear overcame their impulse to kill. Despite the weakness of the enemy, it was an intense battle. Basically, a small army of various creatures attacked him. Under the strain, even his borrowed sword broke. This weapon is really bad quality. I need a new one. He watched the remains of the half-broken weapon, sighing tiredly. Albeit considering I sliced up stones. It lasted longer than I thought. I really need a good sleep. Tilting his head, his neck cracked, massaging it with his crusty hand. He started to get enough from this place. Huh. And when I finally thought this cannot be worse, this happened. I wonder how deep I fall. One thing is sure, he was more lost than ever. Surely, he will spend more time here. This place was no familiar at all. Not even from Misha's explanation. Unfortunately, that girl only shared knowledge about the first few floors. Her intention was most likely to keep him to go deeper. After all, who would be so stupid to risk their lives, and luck with that? Heh, she doesn't know me. Sorry, Misha. My curiosity overcame my reason. Unfortunately for her, Gazaf was a stubborn bastard who wanted to find his way home as soon as possible. Unfortunately for her, the small pebbles remained after the monsters of the first floors worth little to nothing compared to the amount Gazaf needed to collect to pay his expenses. This was the only way for him. Pushing forward, even when his body breaks. Push forward. I need to sit down for a moment. But at the moment he sat down, he felt something soft underneath him. Oh, a groaning sound hit his ear in the next moment, turning his gaze towards the noise. What the shit? Underneath him, a frail girl laid, edging between death and life. She wore a plain cloak, torn and heavily damaged. Help. She muttered broken, barely alive. I didn't even recognize her. Standing up, he inspected her body. A young girl with raccoon ears, white skin, underneath her cloak, a simple, guild-borrowed leather gear she wore. Her tail half torn, almost missing completely. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding. She will not survive without medical care. Gazaf was not a medical expert, but learned how to recognize underlying injuries. Now, as he watched the girl, he was immensely frustrated, damning himself not being a magic caster or carrying a poti. Wait, that girl Hestia. She returned the potion I lost, rummaging through his strangely intact backpack. He recovered the purple potion. The same Hestia handed him back last night. Of course, only after Belle convinced her. Recovery potions usually show their effect over time. His world's recovery potions worked like that, every one of them. He never heard about potions that immediately restored stamina or healed an injury. They usually only accelerated recovery, in an absurd margin, he might say. If one wanted instant recovery, then they needed to use magic or items. Still, not even trying it. Gazaf had to make a hard decision, leaving the girl here to die, or using the potion on her, hoping her body strong enough to survive until he finds people who can help. Damn it. It was no question. He needed to help. Else, his conscience will never leave him alone. Under his life, he learned when to accept death and when to not. In this case, the girl can still be saved. She carried the seed of life. Leaving her here would be a simple murder. Opening the potion, it actually smelled neutral, having not that awful herb stench the usual recovery potions carry. What the? Only after slowly making her drink, his eyes widened. Several of her more severe injuries healed before the effect dwindled, basically stabilizing her health instantly. She was still critically injured, but was mostly stable, at least enough to pick her up and carry her to the exit. Ugh, hi. The girl opened her eyes slowly, looking at him for a moment. Thank you. She only mumbled that much before falling asleep once more. Sleep. You are safe now. Gazaf hummed, patting her head gently. But in the next moment, as he watched the potion dwindling effect, he felt a presence appearing on his radar, disturbing the air around. There is someone else here. All along, he used martial art to keep an eye out, sense enemies approach him behind. And now, he felt a presence that watched him. Pulling out a dagger from his belt, he raised it. Whoever you are, come out. I know you are here. The man shouted, but no answer came. Gazaf closed his eyes, opening his senses to the fullest. Got you. And in the next moment, he threw the dagger. Crash, the speed, strength, and precision he threw the dagger sliced through a tree, crashing the wall in the far. Come out, or the next will hit you. Gazaf waited 1 second, 2 seconds, a whole minute, scanning the area with his heightened senses long. Yet, no answer came. Only silence ruled over the area. No matter, Gazaf mumbled, hearing that person rushing away hastily. Coward bastard. With this girl still in a critical state, he had neither the mood nor time to pursue his mysterious follower. Thus, Gazaf shrugged it down, turning back to the unconscious girl. He had no time to waste for cowards. I need to look behind. That person might come back. There was no time to waste. He picked her up and started to run, seeking the exit of the floor. Maybe he didn't even suspect, but a robed figure watched him leave, hiding, using magic. He almost got me. How? The character asked, disturbed, watching his torn cloak, inspecting his skeletal hand. This man was more and more strange. A dangerous person. First, he left a lesser army of creatures laid sliced up and crushed, completely destroyed. Then, managed to detect him through magic. The skeletal creature almost hit by a blindly thrown dagger. It was more than just a lucky shot. He knew the exact direction where he passed. The dagger even tore his clothes. Scary. The creature in cloak shrugged before proceeding with his investigation. He needs to make a report about this. It didn't take long, but Gazaf found a few adventurers seeking a challenge on the 10th floor. This is strange, the monsters? What of it? The members of the group asked with a raised brow. This area used to teem with monsters, but now they are strangely absent. Most likely, a group already cleared this area. This early? Don't think so, shrugged the human. It is not likely anyone outside of a high level can clear this area, and those folks bother not with the orcs mostly present on this floor. Then what? Wait, something is coming. All prepared, expecting a horde of monsters to charge through the mist. In the end, the only one they spotted was an armored human, carrying a broken sword in his hand, a backpack on his side, a wrapped rod, which was most likely a sword, on his back. There was something else he carrying, but from this distance, it was not recognizable. Oh, it is just an adventurer. Damn it. You made me worry for a moment, snarled the Chianthrope, earning a glare from his companion. Hey, you. It was you who killed all the monsters on the floor. Don't be ridiculous. One guy cannot possibly. Any of you know a fast way up? Gazaf asked hastily, adjusting the girl on his back. Wait. Is that a person? She doesn't look too good, noted the human, inspecting the girl for a moment. She is heavily injured. I gave her potion, but she still needs medical attention. Any of you know a fast way up? The man looked quite distressed, worried the girl might die before he can reach the surface. The potion healed a few wounds on her body, but it cannot possibly heal her completely. What? The adventurers looked at each other surprised. Man, we just arrived on this floor. You cannot possibly say. Why can't you just go alone? The road is, well, mostly clear. Do I look like I have a free hand to spare? Gazaf wanted to say, glaring at the human. True, he can simply sprint, ignoring the monsters, but there is a chance one of them might lash out and hit the girl under the way. I know the way. I am the fastest of my group, the Chianthrope noted, in his eyes, the willingness to help this stranger present. Thank you. Gazaf hummed appreciating, glad not all people are selfish, but willing to help when it is needed. Seriously? Follow the usual tactic. I will head back as soon as I can. The dog demi-human notified his group, and they nodded at once. It was evident they had their fair share of experience fighting with, or without their companion. Heh, just don't lose your way, pretty boy, the dwarf member commented, chuckling. Don't worry, we will manage, he waved, signing them to go. This way. After nodding thankful, the two men headed up, taking the shortest way to reach the surface. Are you sure you will be fine from now on? The Chianthrope escort asked a little bit worried. After several hours, they reached the upper floors, navigating the main pathway where monsters were mostly cleared. A straight path led through the remaining 3 levels. I am sure this is supposed to be the main pathway. That means it was mostly clear. The constant adventurer traffic made it that way. Also, I recognize this area. I will find my way back. Very well. In that case, I head back. By the way, what's your name? You can call me Zeph. Yours. Zeke. Zeke from the Artemis Familia. Gazaf smiled, nodded appreciating. In that case, Zeke, from the Artemis Familia. Accept my thanks. I will make sure to pay your kindness back in some way. Omo, do that. After saying their goodbye, it took some more time reaching the surface. The walls were all familiar, bluish-colored from this floor. Filled with adventurers proceeded deeper, or on the way up, they gave a strange glance to the man who carried what looked like the unconscious girl on his back, speeding past them like the wind to grass. Mostly ignoring them, Gazaf proceeded up. Soon the man reached the main hall, then the circular stairs, which led down to the dungeon. Under the way, he saw many boxes towed on carts, almost like cages, containing monsters. Wonder what they want with them? Shrugging, he decided to worry about it later, increasing his pace once more. The bustling stairway separated the big hall that settled above the dungeon, as usual, was full. The traffic was constant, adventurers descending and ascending through the stairwell, a strange lift raising cages filled with monsters and exotic wares, only found in the dungeon. In the crowd, Gazaf cut his way through the people, basically ramming through the ones he can't avoid with his fast maneuvers, causing a smaller commotion on his way up. Hey, watch it. What do you think? What are you doing? What is this commotion? A half-elf guild employee with spectacles stepped forward, adjusting her glasses strict. Her face nonetheless beautiful, but carried a stern look. She wore what seemed to be a guild attire. This folk just charged through me, complained an adventurer, slowly getting up to his feet. It was evident he was offended by Gazaf, simply stepping him through on his way out. I apologize for the commotion I caused, but if she didn't receive medical attention immediately, she would die. Gazaf felt the raccoon girl's breath increased, just like her body temperature. It may sign the fact she is in a critical state. Let me see her. The half-elf with spectacles walked near Gazaf, checking the girl. Indeed. She needs medical attention immediately. This way, I lead you to the infirmary. Gazaf was surprised this place has an infirmary, but considering things, it maybe was not that surprising. The dungeon was a dangerous place. It was only natural they build the infirmary in the same tower underneath the jail settles. Follow me. Thus, Gazaf followed the guild employee, leading him to the infirmary. Around half-hour passed, and the same guild girl returned from the chamber where the doctors still nursed the girl. Gazaf gave her a look, his arms crossed above his chest while leaned against a wall. How is she? She will be fine. Her injuries, though, were critical. The responsible staff managed to stabilize her. Now, I need a few pieces of information from you. First, which floor were you passing? What happened? I don't know which floor it was, he admitted, his first mistake since arriving back from that place. How so? The elf raised her brow, watching strange the man. The ground collapsed under my feet, and I fall below, finding this girl surrounded by a bunch of different monsters when I landed. You know this sounds quite unlikely. The girl who just introduced herself previously as Ina's sweat dropped, looking at Gazaf as he would be some pervert. It was evident. Falling through the floor was hazardous, Only high-ranked adventurers could survive such endeavor and live to tell the tale. Tach, that's the truth. The man can only shudder for a moment, seeing that strange gaze of the girl. So what was the outline of the floor? From that, I can tell you which floor you fall at least. A misty place with withered trees, full with obese greenish creatures. I see. So it is the 10th to the 12th floor. I see. The floor you fall from. I am not sure. Ina started to tick. This man was impossible. Not even knowing where he fell from. Is he an idiot? How come you don't know? She wanted to sigh really hard. One thing losing oneself in a floor, but not knowing which floor they were. That's an entirely new thing. She met her fair share of puzzled adventurers, but this? She hardly met someone of this caliber. Sorry, I was so immersed delving the dungeon. I completely lost my sense of depth and direction. This was a terrible excuse, Gazaf was well aware. But being it was also the truth, it was not entirely a lie. But considering I saw no other floors while falling, it must be the 9th floor I fell from, he concluded, earning a hum from the half-elf employee. I see. Interesting. It never happened before. Ina was in deep thought, almost like she trying to recall any similar accident that happened in the past. Are you saying no similar case happened before? This, of course, earned a sharp gaze from Gazaf, finding it strange it happened with him, and not with others. Yes, it happened before, but not on the early floors. The ground in a few places weaker on the lower floors, but on the upper ones? I never heard it happen before. Now then, as we know this, what's your name and which familia you belong? She needed this data, so the guild can seek him out later if they have any more questions. You can call me Zeph, as for familia. But before he could continue his introduction, Ina stopped him, blinking surprised. Wait, are you the Zeph whom Misha advised? Oh, so you know, Misha? Well, it was apparent. Both girls wore the usual guild uniform, a form-fitting attire. Of course, they know each other. It was like she inspected him thoroughly. I see, she described you quite well. But she didn't say you were so. Ina blushed for a moment, before hiding her embarrassment behind a cough. So, Gazaf raised his brow, only suspecting what the girl meant to say. Disregard what I said. She cleared her throat, slightly blushing. Anyway, that girl worried about you. According to her, you didn't show up on the last day. After you finished here, check her out. She adjusted her glasses. This girl offered a commanding presence. Her expression and demeanor seriously made Gazaf remember one of his drill sergeant from his youth. Yes, ma'am. Good. Now let's continue. The girl continued her questions for a few more minutes, all along pressuring poor Gazaf with that relentless stare. In the end, he was glad he managed to leave that tower behind. Flashback end. What did you do? At the moment, Gazaf finished recounting his tale, sparing a few, not-so-satisfactory details and scenes that may cause a stroke to his already fuming advisor. The usually lively, kind, and accepting Misha burst out like a volcano. The girl basically gnawed on her fingers due to her stress. Adventure deeper? He asked, not so daring, suspecting the reason behind the girl's furious state. Stupid. 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 I told you. Do not go deep. Are you an idiot, or what? Misha hit the table with her palm, making Gazaf flinch for a moment. I am really sorry. Even if the monsters were not challenging at all, Gazaf felt himself horrible defying the pink-haired girl. More so, finding her so disturbed, the warrior captain can't help but stand up and bow apologizing. What to do with you? Misha sat back to her seat, resting her fingers on her forehead. Now, she looked immensely exhausted. It helps if I apologize once more? No, came the answer right away. Gazaf earned an even more menacing glare. Currently, the two of them inhabited a meeting room used for discussion between adventurers and their advisors. I thought you died, not reporting a whole day, she muttered. Her furious face now transitioned to mirror her sadness and worry. Please accept my apology. I lost my way. This was one of the reasons. The other reason was Gazaf's curiosity. You just don't do it again, okay? It is wrong enough you went that deep despite my advice. You dying would just burden me with further paperwork. She turned her head away, blushing. She was both embarrassed and angry. Yes, Gazaf knew that expression. He saw it many times over. Women used to do this when they are angry, but also worried about someone. The scolding and sometimes swearing was also part of their game. raising the remorse of men, and who they love not to do dangerous things again. Yes, many of them used this to manipulate people too. But now, considering things, it felt good someone truly worried about him. It filled Gazaf with the will to live, survive, fight, and see them tomorrow. In the royal court, not many showed me such care, amongst them, His Majesty. Yes, surrounded by two-faced people, in the royal court, the only ones truly cared about him were the king and a few more people. The nobles usually dismissed his presence or watched him scornfully, feeling even being near the king was too much to tolerate. I do my best. He nodded, earning a shrug and a sight from the girl. Why me? Misha grabbed her head, almost sobbing. Gazaf now really felt himself miserable. Not only he defied the girl's request, he even disappeared for more than a whole day. He felt, no excuse can save him from this situation. By the way, is it normal a recovery potion to heal instantly? Huh? Yes, what? Nothing, just curious. Gazaf mumbled, finding this place more and more strange. First, this city and the endless-looking labyrinth, with all its weirdness, under it. Then, the recovery potion which heals instantly. In the Re-Estai's kingdom and the surrounding countries, for such potion, many would kill. Not speaking the uproar of churches. Healing illness and severe injury instantly used to be their task, gaining a significant number of followers and money offering their healing services. If any of them would get know of this, they immediately request the king's aid to arrest those people. Yes, it would be enough to threaten the nobles and the king with the withdrawal of their support, and they would answer the call of the church without hesitation. Many kinds of healing magic existed, from nature-based entirely to divine classification. Amongst these types, divine magic casters were the most numerous amongst healers, mostly trained and employed by churches. If suddenly, the church refuses to offer healing services, not only the common folk, but the whole country will suffer the backlash. In war, where numerous divine magic casters supported the backlands with their miracles, this could lead an innumerable amount of losses. The injured simply die because the only remained method to heal them would be potions, surgery, and the few remained healers not work for the church. So, Zef-san, please be more considerate next time. Even if you are strong, if you don't know the outline of the floors from the heart, you will get lost. Worse, you can die by just accident. And who's a fault not giving me a map to the floors above the fifth? Misha thought this would hold him back to explore. Well, she was wrong. Oh, very wrong. Is there any way to accelerate the process to proceed through the floors? The first few floors were a joke according to Gazaf. Even an appropriately trained and cautious soldier can get through. Soldiers trained by him and served in his unit could proceed even deeper. Alone if necessary. Huh? Are you serious? Just now, she scolded him not to proceed deeper. And the man right away requested more challenges? Is he a moron, or what? She seriously considered this option. Misha can't help but grind her teeth loud. Yet, seeing that face, that expression he watched her, she can't help but sight defeated. Huh? If you want to die so bad, at least hire a supporter or join a team. They most likely know better the outline and also solve the problem of collecting stones. I appreciate your advice. Yet you didn't seem to take them to your hearth. The girl mumbled, earning an apologetic nod from the man. I am very sorry. Whatever. If you want to go so bad, at least I insist you learn the outline of each floor. That knowledge alone can separate life and death. And find yourself a group, damn it. Or at least a supporter. As soon as you can. They are basically everywhere. Just visit a popular inn and announce you want to join someone. Or simply put up a request in the guild's board. With your stature, I am sure they will accept you. Even if you're not from their familia, people surely consider hiring your services. Yeah, she mentioned earlier. Familia members stick together, not likely accepting outsiders in their group. Just like different mercenary groups, they like not to work with each other, mostly thanks to the distrust they feed towards each other. So, this is everything you wanted. Can we start our today's lesson? I have one more question if you allow me. The girl blinked, nodding. What is it? On my way up, I saw huge crates, filled with what I saw monsters. Why does your guild need them? If you allow me to ask. Oh, that. Misha right away knew what the man spoke about. Those are monsters for the yearly monster feria. Monster feria? Gazaf raised a brow. Never heard about such a festival before. MMM. It is a yearly festival mostly organized by the Ganesha Familia, with the help of the guild, of course, she added. I see, and what's it is about? Basically, the Ganesha Familia captures untamed monsters from the dungeon, bring them to the surface, and tame them before the crowd. It is connected to a big festival, organized mostly around the Colosseum of Oreo. I see, so it is a simple circus. Gazaf heard about similar events organized in the different arenas of the Baharuth Empire, sending captured monsters and beasts against fighters. It was a barbarous custom to entertain the masses. It is more than just a simple circus. Misha said so, puffing her chest proud. This event, for long years, organized in this city. People from the whole world come to witness it. So, this Ganesha Familia tame monsters. Basically, they are an adventurer-type familia. But being they are one of the biggest familia of Oreo with the most members. They perform numerous other tasks, such as helping the guild out with restoration projects. If you want, I can request an audition with their god. Just be aware, he is a bit eccentric. Yes, she remembered a meeting with the man. I am Ganesha. Even remembering it, she can't help but shudder. Fufufu. I pass, but thank you. Why I had the feeling you will answer this. Misha just sighed, expecting his answer. However, speaking about Ganesha and restoration work, a case she wanted to ask about came to her mind. A claim, connected to a certain trickster goddess who already paid her a visit. Speaking about restoration, do you accidentally know something about a brawl before the inn, Hostess of Fertility? Between a level 5 adventurer, called Betloga, and an unknown adventurer accidentally called Zeph? Just like you. The girl forced a smile, hoping, praying whatever deity listening to her that her foreboding not come to true, and her new client does not cause any more trouble. Praying, it was a different handsome man with the same characteristic and name that caused the commotion. She prayed that this is all a misunderstanding, a coincidence. That, in their drunken stupor, the people around misjudged the appearance of the man, mixing it with Zeph. In all honesty, she was on the verge of a breakdown. Her heart cannot really take more. First, Loki paying her a visit, then this. She cannot take any more. Please, I beg you. Say it was not you, she prayed in her heart, gulping hard. Gazaf contemplated for a moment, lowering his head with crossed arms. I may have a prattle with a kid in the same inn. Nothing serious, just a little sparring match to smoothen our differences. Crack. All her hopes in vain, her world shattered, hearing the man's words. Is something wrong? Gazaf looked up, seeing as Misha trembling, her fingers cramping, cracked the wooden placemat she held her notes on. Her closed eyes tick, a forced smile mixing anger and disbelief on her face. He's saying a little sparring match? A little sparring match? He asked. Is something wrong? Like an imbecile, a person who lost her mind, she mumbled. Is something wrong, he asking? Miss Misha, are you all right? Gazaf asked, worried, shaking the girl's shoulder gently a few times. Beating Betloga, and he says, sparring match? And he asks, is something wrong? Are you an idiot? The sudden shout surprised Gazaf, making him blink a few times. Excuse you? Excuse you? Beating one of the top level 5 from one of the strongest familia in the whole city, and excuse you, she shouted. Once more, her rage bubbled like a volcano. First, falling a whole floor and surviving. Then this, beating almost comatose a top adventurer from the Loki familia no less, leaving me into this mess. And you ask, I asked something wrong? She can't take it anymore. The girl fell back on the couch, and like melted cheese slumped in the cushioned pillows. Her heart can't take any more. Just who are you? Zeph-san. Just who are you? As said, my name is. I know what your damn name is, she interrupted him, grabbing a snack from the nearby table and biting from it. The outside of the freshly baked croissant broke under her teeth, her eyes filled with a dangerous light. She continued to stuff the delicious food, until only a few remained, using both of her hands to help. See what you have done. My stress eating returned. Crunch. No. But. No buts. She pointed the half-eaten snack against the man, like a sword. If Gazaf would say anything more, he was sure she would skewer him with the dessert. One should not raise a woman's ire and wrath. He knows it too well, his youth filled with such stories. Now then, she sat down, stuffing down the croissant, reaching for another one. You will tell me everything that happened, step by step, starting with the night when you encountered with the Loki Familia, to your return to the surface. Oh boy, she won't know what she asked for. This will be a hell of a story. I feel this can't end well for me. Gazaf already felt this would not end well for him. Very well. But nonetheless, he was up to the challenge. Scene change. Night. Party of the gods. A bright moon floats above the curtain of darkness that has fallen over the land. The moonlit forest is alive with the sounds of owls and rustling leaves. These sounds ride the breeze and spread out over a vast plain to merge with chirping birds and swishing grasses. They flow together in a chorus of nature until the sounds hit one sudden change in the landscape. A humongous wall. Big, thick, and sturdy, the edge of the city may as well be a castle wall. The protective wall is constructed entirely out of stone. The curtain of night is pushed aside as light spreads through the city. The voices of nature outside the fence are drowned out by the faint sound of the city's nightlife. The labyrinth city, Oreo. This city is one of the few cities that existed since ancient times, even before the arrival of the gods. However, it is the only city that bears the title Labyrinth City. The wall forms a perfect circle, encasing the metropolis in stone. Relatively tall towers and buildings stick up just inside the edges of the wall. Shorter buildings are toward the center. Hundreds of magic stone lamps light this stone behemoth. It is as if a sea of stars came down from the sky to live in a stone castle. Yet, compared to the tower in the very center of Oreo, it is all dwarfed. Almost looks meaningless under the humongous tower's stony gaze. The tower, which was tall enough to pierce the very clouds. The tallest tower in the city, its size strikes and imposing shadows over the town below, filling both citizens and travelers with awe. The tower, called Babel, which stationed directly over the dungeon, served as a plug or a tap, blocking the unwanted residents of the abyss to come up, but allowing people to adventure deep, then return through the same way. With Babel at its core, the image of Oreo has spread far and wide around the world. More adventurers call Oreo as a home than any other city or country. This is the place, more precisely, the dungeon, where the ancestors of all monsters sprouted to life and scattered around the world. Due to this, many refer to these mysterious depths as one of the three colossal mysteries of the world, ever seeking the immense, unknown, that sleeps within the deepest part of the dungeon. A mystery that draws many adventurers to the depths, seeking fortune or fame, motivated either by greed, which this infinite source of wealth hides, or glory, becoming immortalized by tales, through heroic acts, slaying the dangerous creatures the place hides. As for why it is called Labyrinth City, despite many tales and theories, adventurers had nothing to do with the naming. It was all on the gods. The name was given by the gods who lived there. On a whim, one day to the other, they decided it is a fitting name, thinking the title makes the city more interesting. And soon, Oreo became known far and wide. The excitement of the unknown, the promise of challenge and wealth, a chance to attain glory, and above all, notoriety, draws in more and more people every year. Among the newcomers, there may even be a few who came here merely for fun and fated meeting. Yet, if one sought enough, they could even find people who have a steady mission in mind. People who are not here to seek wealth, neither glory nor notoriety, but searched something that may bring all three. Through hardship and ambition, they can gain them all. Because of all of this, the city often called the most passionate city in the world. In a specific part of the town, people gathered in high numbers. Yo, how are you doing? Yeah? Long time. How long has it been? About 400 years, I reckon. Oh, that long. You've changed quite a lot since then. As one may surmise, these people were gods and goddesses who came to Gakai looking for entertainment. They came to the passionate city, Oreo, seeking the unknown even more than the adventurers. Just now, many of them gathered in a specific part of the city. This was quite odd, as it was rare for them to gather in such numbers. All are heading towards a particular building, watching the strange structure with either disgust, amusement, or turning their head away in shame. Ganesha-san, why? One of them mumbled, sighing confused. Before them, An overly extravagant building stood over the group of overly extravagant gods assembling in the street. Standing among the lights, amongst the well-built buildings of Orrio, this thing was just plain weird. It was so out of place, it was almost mysterious. It was a building, built to resemble a massive, 30-meter, human-shaped statue with an elephant's head sitting cross-legged in the middle of the city block. A stone wall surrounded the base of the building. This building sat proudly, puffing out its chest. It was famous for inspiring a sense of wonder and uneasiness within anyone who saw it. From many angles, magic stone lamps lit up the whole building, highlighting it even more amongst the grayness of the simple structures of the city. It would be no surprise saying this building had a history. The builder of this strange building was an eccentric, dark-skinned god. His name was Ganesha. If you asked anyone what was in his mind when he built this thing, not even the members of his familia or his fellow gods could answer that question. This statue, which also served as the base of his familia, built by burning through his familia's hard-earned savings. Unfortunately, outside of the man himself, no one liked this monstrosity, not even his own children. Most of them teared up a bit as they went in and out, thinking how their hard work had gone into smoke, paying for this thing. Worse, the entrance to the building was in the crotch of the statue. Huh. Ganesha goes all out again. You know him? Yeah, he is the same. No matter Tenkai or Gakkai. Under no time, the building was filled with richly clothed people, all of them extremely beautiful and charming. Their beauty was divine. Almost all of them answered the call, coming to the celebration of the gods. A large party put on by a god for other gods living on Gakkai. There were no rules about who hosted and who attended. It was simply hosted by the god who wanted to throw a party and attended by gods who wanted to come. Typically, it was only done by gods who wanted to show their wealth or had a second, shadier intention. Most gods would make sure to no enemy gods enter their territory, fearing they might spot something they wanted. In Ganesha's case, however, the reason was different. He just loved parties. He loved to be around people. That's it. He had no shady intentions. He just loved parties. Everyone, thank you for coming today. I am Ganesha. I am overjoyed the attendance of this celebration. I love you all. I have a small announcement to make. The yearly festival put on by my familia is only 3 days away. Please encourage your familias to attend. Wearing an elephant mask, Ganesha welcomed his guests from the top of the stage in the middle of the hall. A welcome and an announcement the gods largely ignored, simply continuing their chat. Oh, didn't you heard? No. What? Tell me. Tell me. The hall was only lightly decorated. Compared to the extreme outside of the place, it was entirely out of the norm. A band sat behind the stage, playing calm melodic music. Around the long tables, deities gathered, using the opportunity to eat from the delicious food served in a standing buffet style. The scent was mouth-watering. Even the most stubborn deity can't ignore the free food. Just for tonight, almost all the deities in Orrio attended, filling the great hall to brim with gods and goddesses. Amongst them, a certain deity with a twin tail and excessive black hair, and a small goddess with yellow eyes and childlike complexion was also present. If you watched the two more profoundly, you recognized early on, they were the only ones not wearing lavish clothing. But the redesign of their usual clothes, trying to make them look more formal. TCH. That idiot Hestia. Is she lost all her dignity? Toth almost snarled when Hestia recognized her, with a full mouth that looked like a hamster waving at her. Hiwa Toth-chan. TCH. The short, dark-skinned goddess just snorted, grabbing a plate and showing its content in her handbag. She had no particular problem with Hestia. She was just too lively for her taste. Invaded her personal space whenever she wanted or not. Even in Tenkai, she always hugged me without asking permission. Calling me cute, she hated it. She hated it when people treated her like a mascot. No, don't come here, she pleaded deep inside, already feeling as she suffocates her with her oversized chest, then pinch her cheek painfully, pulling her cheeks like a living taffy. Please. Hestia was on to approach her when a second goddess took her attention. A red-haired goddess with sharp features and eye patch. She was nonetheless beautiful, but that eye patch, many glanced at it first before looking at the woman itself. I am saved. Toth didn't hesitate. She grabbed a plate of food from the edge of the table and disappeared under the tablecloth. Fortunately, Hestia lost her. Saving her from the torture people made her endure. Finally peace. Thoth sighed, relieved, finally free the repressive presence of the numerous gods and goddesses around. She hated this place, only coming here due to 3 reasons. Why I even mentioned? She groaned deep inside, remembering her colossal first mistake. She only mentioned once, but her only 2 children bugged her to come until she said yes. Pressuring she needs to go out, separate herself from her books, try to be a little bit open. It was no surprise. She was an introvert. Even she knows that. Only tolerating a few people for long, passionately hating crowded places. Of course, the chance of free food not to be dismissed. Yes, this was her second reason coming. Her familia was dirt poor, barely managing to stay afloat. If she can rip off a wealthy familia, then she will do so. Gladly rob that annoying Ganesha. Ganesha wouldn't mind it anyway. She knows Ganesha only for a few hundred years, but she already disliked his lively personality. According to a standard of a god, this was very little time. Yet, under this time she learned to avoid the man whenever it was possible. He was just too friendly and weird for her taste. Why he even needs to introduce all the time? It is weird. I already know his name. His eccentric personality was the complete opposite of her own introvert one, making her feel uncomfortable anywhere near him. I think I am not alone with this. She was partly right saying this. I want to go home, she sniffed miserably, already missing her dusty books and maps. She would be rather home, reading, or writing her notes. Yes, indeed. 1 or 2 people, she tolerated. A whole bunch of them. She was insecure. She hated the crowd. It made her nauseous, sending her head spinning. Not speaking many of these people, just plain morons. Yes, she heard what they whispered behind her back, mocking her either because of her childish appearance or because of her introvert personality. She had very few friends who understand her problem, treating her like a damn mascot. I hate it. And with this, we already reached the 3rd reason her being here. She came because of one person, her best friend who helped her out in a time of need. Hopefully, he will help me again. Yet, considering how much she owes him, how much she pressured their friendship when she first arrived at Gakai, she was not sure how much the man would tolerate before abandoning her. Peeking out from her hiding, she scanned the people, seeking one person before retreating in her safe place once again. She had no luck, spotting not the person she came to see. Well, no matter, try it later. Let's see. Putting down a book before herself, she started to eat the stolen food, not even recognizing for a moment as a hand raised the tablecloth, peeking underneath. Miss, do you need anything to drink? Why not come out? I am sure many gods and goddesses want to meet you. The nearby waiter watched her uneasily, with a forced smile, peeking under the tablecloth. He was a member of the Ganesha familia, serving as waiter tonight. After experiencing the weirdness of his god, he long ago got accustomed to the strange behaviors of a few gods and goddesses around. It was no strange at all for now. No, get lost. Shoo, like a hungry predator, she hissed. Her glare made the man leave with tearful eyes. Ei. The man left, running away after witnessing the glowing pair of eyes under the table. He better leave. Jerk. Disturbing my reading. She was protective when it comes to food. She hated to go outside. One may say she was a complete introvert. Only a few people she tolerated for long. Finally, this will be enough for a few minutes, she was calm, finally assured. No one will disturb her alone time. Her food will last for a while. She only needs to peek out from her hiding place, search for that certain person. However, she didn't expect one thing. You know, it was entirely unnecessary. Hi, hearing the voice from her side, Thoth right away jumped up. Thud, just to grab her head in the next moment. Her knob is connecting hard with the table above her. Many gods and goddesses watched surprised the jump of the table, just to a moment later return their usual chatter, ignoring the strange furniture. I hate when you do this, she whimpered, massaging her throbbing head. Her eyes teared up. It never gets old. The man on her side, sitting underneath the table, flashed a smirk. Little Thoth. He was a quite lean and tall man with brown skin similar to hers. His head bald, using a considerable amount of black eyeliner around his orange eyes. Like 2 suns, they glowed. Yet, despite his fiery eyes, his face carried gentle features, mixing boyish charm and bold angular shapes, a characteristic that gave his face a mysterious appearance. On his chin, a small goatee peaked. "Ho how, did you found me?" she shuddered, looking all embarrassed. Unlike Toph, who only wore her usual attire a little bit modified, a top and a longer skirt, the man on her side had a certain style. Wearing an elaborate gown in Egyptian style, made from the best materials one can buy for coins. A white and golden-lined attire that completely fits his athletic body. Compared to her, he indeed looked like a proper deity. "I know you too well, my little mascot." He brushed her mid-long bob-cut hair, messing it up slightly. Yes, he was a man of high standing. His familia quite prominent, mixing exploration and other odd jobs, having a connection not only in Oreo but all around the world. Indeed, this man was a natural leader. Yet, only his base stationed in the town, their operations mainly conducted outside in the wide world. "Ugh, hi. You know I hate it when you call me like that." Toph pouted, looking away, blushing. "Of course I am. That's why am I doing it. My little companion." His chuckle was almost like he mocked her. This earned an even bigger pout and defiant expression from Toph. "You meanie, 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 meanie. I hate you. I hate you." She hit the man, like a small child in a tantrum. Yet, compared to the lean but nonetheless muscled deity, she looked quite insignificant. The man most likely didn't even felt her small fists. So, hiding from others? And no, I just wanted some calm. That's it. She shuddered, quite embarrassed her secret comes to light so quickly. "Just asking." The tanned figure chuckled. "How you manage, by the way? Is your shop still stands? Have you managed to recruit someone? Since months we didn't speak. You look scrawny, as always. Did you even eat?" The man's questions rained, poking her flat stomach. Ugh, this, of course, greatly embarrassed the small girl. "Stop it. Ha ha ha. Just as expected. You are the same introvert I know. I am glad you didn't change. Still, aren't it would be better to go out? Just a little bit? So we can converse normally. I feel quite unnerved sitting here. It is dark. Too many people out there." She pulled her legs in her hug, paling slightly, thinking all those people out there. Too many scary. "Look, if you don't even try, it will not get better. I want my safe place." She mumbled, her expression like of a dead fish. "Huh. I give up." The man shook his head. "At least answer my question. How do you manage?" "We are doing fine. I managed to recruit 2 children." She drew circles on the marble floor, her tone flat all along. "Just doing fine? And 2 children, you say? That's nice. Tell me about them. I am curious." Seeing her state of being, the man can't just let his friend alone with her problems. Her state of mind was somewhat questionable. That's why he can't just leave her alone. "Under the passing months, I only managed to gain 2 members. The people barely visit my shop. We barely stay afloat." She admitted the hard facts, and hearing this, made her friend's expression soften. "You know you can count on me. If you need money." "No," she snapped at him. "I made a promise. I intend to keep. I don't want to burden you anymore. You always help when I ask. I already strained our friendship enough." "I see." He lowered his head, accepting his friend's decision, appreciating her willingness to stand on her own feet. Still, she played with her fingers, circling them around each other. "So there is something? Just say. I am sure we can solve it. I am not sure how to put it, and I promised I would pay back everything on time. But I need a favor. The request of one of my clients. Currently, I can't fulfill myself." "Oh, what request the mighty goddess of knowledge and magic can't fulfill?" The god teased her, earning a glare. "Idiot. Would you just be serious for a moment?" The Egyptian god raised his brow, waiting for an explanation. His previous joking behavior disappeared. "I am listening. What do you need? But as you promised, make sure it worth my time." The girl gulped, nodding. "I need a world map. One which not only contains different continents, but the countries on them. The freshest version. As well, I require your connections to search for certain countries, even I don't heard about." "You ask much. You know it will cost you dearly. Also, aren't it would be easier to ask Freya, or even Loki? Their connections are better than mine. You can get what you want easier from them." "I don't want to speak with them," she snarled, visibly disgusted by the mere mentions of these 2. "One is a slut. The second is a battle maniac trickster. Just as in Tenkai, just as in Gakkai. You know, they are changed. Loki, for example, much calmer, fewer times get in trouble. Remember, In the past, she battled whenever she can, killing many gods who get in her way. The man on Toth's side lowered his head, remembering her like that. The children changed her, made her calmer and more accepting. For good, I might say. Yes, he spoke with her not long ago. She is more bearable than up there. Yeah, I suppose. At least, she didn't hear Loki herself battling against anyone. Her children, maybe. But the goddess herself? Toth knows not about such things since she descended. Of course, I live secluded. But my children used to tell their day and what happens in the city. So, a world map and access to knowledge. I see what I can do. But I expect you to pay back what you owe. I know, don't worry. Toth always pays her debts. Visit my residence as soon as you can, and we can flesh out the details. Possibly bring that customer if you don't mind. I am curious about what kind of person requests such unusual thing. Okay, she mumbled, already depressed how much this will cost her. I wouldn't expect less. The man beamed suspicious, and small Toth already suspected. The first part of her debt will be paid now. Edai, stop. No, you can start paying now. Stop sulking. The night is still young, and you need to get out of that depression. Enjoy the party. The light of a prankster lit in the man's eyes, grabbing her arm and pulling her. Wah! No, don't do it. But before she could react, the god pulled her out from her hiding, exposing her to the whole world. No, my safe place. R.A., you bully. Thus, the god named R.A. dragged her out from the safe place, showing her to the world. That night, little Toth started to pay her debt, doing what she hated the most. Accompanying R.A. and answering her fellow deities' annoying questions. Experiencing her horror once again, treated as a mascot, patted on the head, her cheeks pulled until they went numb. I hate you so much, she massaged her face, feeling them not anymore. I know, the man just smiled, accompanying her friend with a wide smirk. That night, the introvert goddess forced to the light. Meanwhile, underneath the guild, occupying a hidden room, a figure sat in his throne, meditating, his face shadowed by his hood. Only his long white hair that peeked out from the shadows. Fells, you returned. In the next moment, like waking up from his slumber, the man on the throne raised his head, the dimly lit torchlight giving a glimpse of his face. He was an elderly man, with a wrinkled face, his blue eyes piercing. Yes. The second robed figure, wearing a dark robe, nodded, stopping a few steps away from the throne. His voice was strange, almost like it was generated through artificial means, mixing many characteristics and gender. What did you find? Did you manage to know something? The situation is a little bit more complicated than we first thought. The creature named Fells raised the sleeve of his torn robe, revealing his skeletal hand, and the missing part of his cloth, torn by something approaching with great speed. Seeing this, the one on the throne raised his brow. Tell me more. Who is this mysterious duo? What do they want? It will come to light in the future. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Support the writer. Don't forget to like, sub, and share.